area problem.
Man, that was under the wire.
There's Ira. There's Corey. We're all good to go, boys. And the cameras are up and running. Thanksgiving week special. We couldn't get off to a rocky start. We had to be right. Right as rain we are, I say. Yay, sausage.
Had some this morning. The wife has moved into my house full time.
People are not going to understand this.
They're not, but she lives there now, and she made me sausage and eggs, little register sausage. It was the smoky hot.
Ooh.
Didn't realize that when I first bit in.
And you're kind of a pansy when it comes to this.
But I liked
spicy.
it. I liked it. I ate. She cut them up into links, and I ate them all. Or I guess they cut the links.
You made
up
a happy plate.
Yeah, and it was great. It was great. It was. It's good to know that's back in my life. Register sausage in the morning.
Yeah, and they do have
delicious.
They do have the spicy. They've got but then they've got the plain, the mild, which Kim is a fan of. She does not like the spicy as much. Although the andouille's got a little kick to it. And the cheddar jalapeno obviously has a little bit.
Cheddar jalapeno is my go-to, but smoky is good. That's quality. Glad you enjoyed it.
You can have it as well. Registermeats.com is the website. They will have it delivered to you. Probably not in time for Thanksgiving at this point.
No,
I don't think they
can miss the boat.
And just offer them unlimited. Just as much money.
He can
make it happen.
He'll drive it over.
They'll make it happen. But or if you're in this part of the country, really an expanding part of the country, from over in the Panhandle into Alabama. Cross over to Jacksonville, down south of here, down into Tampa. I think we're trying to get into South Florida, up into the Georgia and the Carolinas. Go to your local grocery store and ask if they have registered sausage. And if they ask what that is, you're allowed to slap them, I think.
Ooh.
Yeah, I mean,
it's aggressive, Ira.
I think the authorities understand. We'll understand once you explain the circumstances.
Just don't slap them in the face.
Yeah, I mean, maybe just like a tap on the shoulder.
Get it together, man.
Yeah.
A slap on the
butt.
Call
yourself a meat manager?
Yeah.
What kind of meat manager are you?
Yeah.
But they'll try to get it in your store. If not, go to registermeats.com. That's the website. Nice promo code over the weekend after the big Charleston Southern win.
The big one.
Yeah, man. 30% off, I think.
That's by the way, 30% off is sweet.
Yeah,
that's
man.
awfully kind.
Yeah.
So
probably too kind for a win over Charleston.
Hey, it's been a while.
I've got something to tell you and Register Sausage, and that is that bright and early this morning, Dr. Birch, who's ours number 2 sponsor, well, show sponsor as well, but said she wants to do a joint promo with Registers and us for their next big thing, like maybe in the spring.
Good.
Said, hey,
it's about time, Heather.
Her exact words, when we get this miserable season behind us, let's do something for the spring to celebrate the dawn of a new day or something better. Can't be worse than this, right? So what we can say that, right, this is it. Yeah. So she's in.
We're all on board. Sounds good. Thanks, Heather.
I like the idea of it. I do. So Cromanhawk gets the start. I guess that's a development since we all met the last time, right? That he's pretty much the guy now.
Yeah. Yep.
So I went back and watched the condensed version from the moment he made the third down throw to Ja'Kai Douglas. I'm acting like the first 3 possessions.
Yeah, those were pretty shaky possessions.
But actually, they didn't happen.
Okay.
And so I'm living in a world now.
Yeah, it's a better world that you live in.
I pick it up right there, guys. And I'll tell you what, if you just pick it up right there, I'm going to find the minute mark of the condensed version.
Tell
you
go
guys,
there. Yeah.
Go there. You start right there and watch till he leaves that game. Looks like a good quarterback.
Yep. Looks like a different quarterback, that's for sure.
Some of the throws he makes, he made a couple throws off platform on the run. The throw over the middle to Landon Thomas, obviously the dart to Hakeem Williams. He made some legit, like, big time throws. It wasn't like he lucked his way into 9 of 12 of his last completions. He looked good.
He certainly looked more confident.
Yeah. And I get it's Charleston Southern, but listen, man.
Yeah, you got to see something.
We haven't seen anybody look good against anybody.
Yeah.
So I'm taking it.
Okay. Hey, good, Ira.
Now the question is, can he, obviously, can he roll that out there against a better opponent? We'll see. But at least he's done it. We haven't seen anybody, a quarterback, look like that this season.
Yeah, his upside, I think, is significant. It's just a matter of if he'll ever reach it or when he might reach it here at Florida State.
Yeah, because he is so young, and he was already seen as a guy who had big upside, but was going to be a kid that took some time to develop. Because he hadn't played a lot of quarterback. So for people that don't know, he hasn't been his whole life a quarterback.
I think he didn't start till his junior year, I think, because he was behind a Division I guy.
Yeah, so he hasn't played a ton of quarterback, and while everybody liked the physical tools, they were kind of like, well, not a lot of reps, so this may be a bit of a project. You didn't want to have to play him right away, and anyhow, it's just obviously just a debacle in a weird season and everything else. It's hard to gauge either one of these two kids. I feel sorry for both of them, frankly. Every time I watch them behind that offensive line and the lack of balance and everything else. But I, obviously Mike has seen enough to say I'm rolling with Luke at this point, and if they go out and get a transfer portal quarterback, which is I think both you guys think they'll do, and if they do, then that would certainly, I would think, have to be the end for Brock, right? I mean, wouldn't that be a safe conclusion to draw?
I mean, it's in today's environment, yes, you would think so. I don't think that has to be the decision.
I don't think it has to be.
Him.
I don't think it has to be either, but I'm guessing that it would be.
I mean, I guess, but again, to me, if you're Brock Glenn and you make that decision, it's more based on, I think I need to play at a lower level, because I don't think that what you've shown so far is going to impress a lot of other schools at the Power 5 level. I mean, he's completed 45% of his passes?
It's under 48.
And I know he's been,
and that includes he went 3 for 3 against Charleston Southern. That rocketed it way up.
And he actually had a good game against Clemson.
He did.
Credit for that.
And then the Duke game happened, and it hasn't been right.
Kind of erased the Clemson game in the minds of many. Yeah.
So all I'm saying is, not like anybody's going to be rolling out the red carpet.
But I agree with that. But I think if he doesn't play on Saturday, so you're behind a portal kid and Luke Kromenhoek, you're coming back to be a third string quarterback. I think he could go to a bigger program and try to be the backup there with maybe working. You know what I mean? Like,
could be.
You don't want to be behind a guy that's younger than you, which he thinks he is now, I would imagine.
Yeah. I mean, I'm saying it's not ideal, but I also think there's enough film right now to feel like people aren't going to be thinking you're the answer for anybody.
Oh no, it's not going to be. He's not going to be being flown all over the country to look at Oregon and Oklahoma. Like So I mean, it would have to be. He's willing to decide. Okay, maybe I need to be at a slightly lower level. Would you rather be a second stringer at Kentucky or a third stringer at Florida State?
That's the eternal question.
Always those kind of questions.
That's what I always ask.
Yeah, I know, right?
Second string at Kentucky, third string at
Florida State. Depends on the sport.
Yeah, I'm projecting that he'll likely be gone.
It's possible. But also you look at we don't need to spend an hour talking about Brock Glenn, because I don't think he's a huge part of the answer right now for Florida State, certainly. But it's not like the path of, or the trail of quarterbacks before him who have left here because they weren't going to start has gone. They've all been led to riches.
Right.
I mean, what's Chubba Purdy done? What's
obviously Tate didn't have a good run
doing?
AJ Duffy.
I mean, it's again, it's not like Alex Hornibrook,
Hornswoggle, James Blackman,
or who was the quarterback before? It was the dude that went to NC State,
Bailey Hockman,
then gave up the sport.
Bailey Hockman, yeah.
I mean, I just people get worried sometimes. I think I don't know. People maybe not be worried about Brock Glenn leaving, but I just feel like there's always you don't want them to leave. Well, I don't know, man.
I'm not worried about Brock Glenn leaving. I'm not worried about that question right now. I'm going to guess that he does, is all I was saying, is that I think he probably will leave. Given the latest developments, we'll see. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he sticks it out. It'd be great if we saw kids stick it out like in yesteryear.
Yeah.
Doesn't really happen anymore, though.
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of guessing that he will leave.
Nussmeier is like the best example of somebody doing that recently.
Southern Cal's quarterback as well, right?
Yeah, and then he got benched.
Yeah, he got benched, but he hung in there. But yeah, there's been a few. You'd like to see more of it. You just don't, unfortunately. And there's, impatience with all of that. It also, I think, probably worries people that litany of names that you just went through are people that, Mike brought in and got to do better bringing in some quality quarterbacks, my man.
The thing is, you look at these two quarterbacks in this situation, to me, like I was Team Brock from day one when he came in. One of the things I loved about him, we talked about it at the time, the way he competed in tour of duty. The first spring practices, there were a couple times you saw his moxie.
Yeah, he's a tough kid now.
You love that. The problem is the passing part of it ever going to be, like, even if this team is better around him, is the passing going to be there? And I'll be honest, in practice, he's not the most accurate quarterback in practice either.
Yeah. He's actually a better game player than he is a practice player.
100%. When he came in,
either, but
when he came in this season, it was like, well, that looked a lot better than it has in practice.
Yeah.
Whereas Luke, if you get better around him, I do feel like he can make the throws. I feel like, again, watching him in the second half of that game, even from the third quarter, the last possession or two, the third quarter into the second quarter into the second half, he looked like, okay, you could see what it would look like if this was a functioning offense. I don't know if I've ever felt that with Brock. I think Brock might give you what Corey's made the point. Brock might give you a better chance Saturday, but that's only because you feel like you need somebody to just run around, absorb hits, and make some plays.
Avoid sacks. Avoid sacks. Get rid of the ball a little quicker. All that stuff.
But in terms of like when you need somebody to make passes as a quarterback, I think we would all think the future is brighter for Luke.
I think Luke is more toolsy. I think he's got the better upside for sure. I've thought that all along. We've kind of had that conversation. The three of us have.
Yeah.
And this has been a dysfunctional situation, so I feel bad even criticizing either one of them at any point. I do think that, we saw a stretch there where clearly Luke just only saw the rush, and that got frustrating. I felt bad for him because I understand how that could happen. And we saw stretches where Brock would be really inaccurate and just fire a ball in the dirt. And you're like, well, that's curious. You seem to do that a little too much for my liking.
Yeah.
He also would have I think Brock is streaky. He'll have a quarter where he plays really well. You're like, oh, that looks like it's supposed to look.
Seemed like it was when the games were already over.
And then boom, then all of a sudden he's terrible again. And you're like, I don't know what to do. I keep going back to how bad the situation was. It's an untenable situation for either one of them. But that's the situation they're in. And now clearly Florida State is in, and we kind of guessed for a while there just by the way he talked about him that we thought Mike liked Luke a little bit more. It seemed that way when the subject quarterback would come up.
I think he's probably correct.
Yeah, I think he's correct in that assessment too. We are also very sure that it really won't matter if they don't go get an offensive line. If they don't find a way to block. That's what they're going to have.
I think the interesting part of this game coming up on Saturday, win or lose, they're 15-point underdogs or whatever, is can Luke do enough on Saturday to make you think twice about a portal QB?
He would have to be unbelievable.
And what does that mean to you? Like
30 or 40.
What about Lagway's game against Ole Miss? He was like 10 of 16 for 200 yards with no turnovers, made a couple of special plays, and kept you in the game.
If he looked completely composed,
like 30 or 40, that ain't happening.
Right. Well, if he looked completely composure,
in control of the offense, which is what you're describing Lagway as.
Now, what Lagway also would need, what Luke also would need, was what Lagway got. Ole Miss crapping on themselves, turning the ball over 3 times.
I don't care about that's the win.
That's how you'd win.
Oh no, I'm not worried about the win.
Florida State needs more than Luke to go 16-20 to win this game.
I'm not talking about the win. I mean, it'd be awesome if they beat Florida and ruin their up and what they've done this last month. But I just mean what going into 2025, more important than the win to me is what can you see out of this quarterback, win or lose?
Well, I think this is all born out of what is a reasonable expectation for next year. What does Mike have to do, in you guys' opinions, to still be here after next year?
Because it would be nice.
Because if you only have to be, again, that's why I'm asking you guys the question. If he's 6-6,
if he gets to a bowl, get to a bowl.
Right. I mean, the thought is that means he'd be back the following season.
Billy Napier saved his job by going 7-5.
Right. Now, against a really tough schedule.
It's still 5 losses at Florida.
Yeah. No, I get it.
You know what I mean?
But back to the point here. We don't what you all think of as a decent enough season to keep your job kind of informs the decision as to whether or not you go out and get a portal guy. Because if you think you can let him go through the growing pains of being a starting quarterback next year and still go 6-6 or 7-5, and that's good enough, then maybe you wouldn't go get a portal quarterback. If you don't think he's capable of that and you need to win 7 or 8 games to keep your job, then he has to go get a portal quarterback.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the much riskier decision would be to ride with Luke because you don't know. There's nothing. He's not going to have enough evidence, even though he's coached him for a year, had him at every practice, watched him develop in these games, even if he does have a good game Saturday. I don't think you're going to know enough about him to know you could ride into next season with him as your starter, knowing that, man, if it's 3-9, that may be the end of the road.
It should be.
So to me, the much more high percentage play would be to go get a portal quarterback. I mean, why would you not? And I think you sell it to Luke as, listen, man, you are our future. We are telling you are our future. We put you ahead of Brock. You're our future, but this coaching staff, what's left of it, is all going to get fired next year if we don't win. So you're going to be part of it, and you're going to be the future, but we need somebody else who can help us win for sure next season. And if I'm Luke Kromenhoek, man, unless I'm just miserable here, I could understand that. Because, again, nobody's going to give him a starting job anywhere else.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. It's not like a program of Florida State caliber, not team. I know the team this year is horrible, but I'm saying of the caliber, upper echelon program in this country. No, there's no ready-made spot for Luke Kromenhoek to walk in and play. There isn't. He'd have to go compete anywhere. But they're not beating down his door after what he's shown. But if he could have a good game, and again, that is an enormous if. I'm not expecting it, not because he's not any good or won't be any good. This offense has been disastrous all year. But if that were to happen, he had a nice game. and you're like, you know what? I am riding with him. I do believe in what I've seen from that guy. It would free up a lot of funds to go get dudes to help Luke Kromenhoek.
Go get dudes on that offensive line.
Well, right.
Run the ball,
and also
skill
players that get some special, but then, yes, go get some dudes on the offensive line. Well,
this is the uphill battle. This is the difficult climb that Norvell is now tasked with after this disaster, is that you have to go out and get a lot of help regardless of what you're doing at quarterback. I mean, you're going to have to go improve this roster quite a bit, and you're going to have to convince a decent amount, like what we could debate what we think the number is, but a decent amount of portal players, because you're not bringing in a haul in high school recruiting. And even if you were, you can't start those guys right away in most cases. So we're talking 20, 30, 40 players, and you're trying to convince them to come to a program that has lost its luster. It doesn't have the new car smell that a new coach gets when they go to a place, because he's in year 5. So having to get all of these kids to say yes and believe is going to be a difficult task.
But you're not asking portal players to come for 4 years. You're asking them to come for 1 year to make a run. If you get a quarterback and you have some pieces, now it becomes more attractive to come. And again, man, money is a factor, and everybody can't pay top dollar to every player. So you may not get 8 guys you want, but maybe get 4 guys you want. And so, again, I just think there's a lot of avenues to go. I do think you need to get a quarterback no matter,
you're going to overpay for that for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
But you also, again, man, like people focus so much on the high profile quarterback. Man, the kid that Vandy got was not a high profile quarterback. There are quarterbacks out there that can win. The guy that Indiana got was from Ohio. There are other players out there. You just got to pick the right one. You can't miss on it.
No, can't miss. Can't do what you did this year. You can't miss. That's right. Seminole Headlines, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV continues in a moment.
The best happy hour in the city is at Café de Martín and El Bar. All day, every day, you can find great deals at Café de Martín while enjoying the best outdoor seating Tallahassee has to offer. Sip away on 2-for-1 house wines, chilcanos, and margaritas all day long, Monday through Thursday. Plus 2-for-1 pisco sours and margaritas on Fridays and Saturdays, and 2-for-1 mimosas for Sunday brunch. Come join us at Café de Martín, where every hour is happy hour, in the Esposito Shopping Center on Capitol Circle Northeast.
Know your body and transform your life with DexaFit Tallahassee, your go-to for science-backed health insights. Their DEXA scan gives you the most accurate body composition available, measuring bone density, muscle mass, in both subcutaneous and visceral fat. Get the data you need to track progress and make real changes. Your VO2 max is the best indicator of health and longevity, but it offers more than just a number. It shows respiratory function, calories burned at different intensities, and whether your body burns fat or carbs, helping you train smarter. DexaFit's RMR test reveals how many calories you burn at rest and the type of fuel your body uses, so you can dial in your diet for weight loss, muscle gain, or maintenance. And their red light therapy soothes sore muscles, reduces inflammation, and rejuvenates your skin. Right now, get a DEXA scan and red light therapy for just $99. That's a $184 value. Call 850-510-7728 or visit DexaFit Tallahassee's website to book. Know your body and transform your life this fall with DexaFit.
Oh, whoa! Check out Pinch a Penny.
We're stocked to the rafters with hot spring spas.
A recognized leader. Imagine the fun of the holidays with warmth, relaxation, and lovely bubbles. Over 30 home spas for you to see right now. Affordable right now, too. Up to $2,000 off. Or special financing. Ask for details.
Is the world stressing you out?
Fight back. Now, to assure these prices, Pinch a Penny, open 7 days a week on Career Road.
October 3rd, 1863. Our nation is torn in the midst of civil war. Over 100,000 lives have been lost. Faced with the uncertainty of our survival as a nation, President Lincoln affirms his faith in God, issuing a proclamation and officially declaring the last Thursday of November as a day of thanksgiving and praise. This Thanksgiving, join with us in prayer for our great nation. From Glass Pro Shop, call 850-575-7403.
Barman, you look so twisted. What did you do now?
Well, Hank the alligator needed his teeth brushed, and when I bent over to give him a scrub, my back popped like an afternoon lightning storm in Florida. And now I can't even stand up.
You need to go to benchiro.com and schedule your new patient appointment right away at benchiro.com. That's FENNCHIRO.com.
I'm really busy. I don't want to leave Hank in the orange grove unattended for too long.
Finn Chiropractic will get you in right away, and they get to the cause of your problems. So go to FinnChiro.com and make your new patient appointment. There's even an online discount.
Discount? That's a good thing because my purse is a little light since I bought Hank a new gold chain.
You have to take care of yourself if you want to be able to take care of your alligator, Hank. Make your appointment now. Go to FinnChiro.com.
Well, hold my pina colada. I'm going to FinnChiro.com.
Life is stressful. Dinner shouldn't be. That motto is why Register Sausage has been doing business in the Florida Panhandle and Lower Alabama for over 75 years. A proud sponsor of Seminole Headlines, Register Sausage always provides the best Southern smoked sausage to over 140 grocery stores and restaurants throughout the Southeast. Headliners have discovered the Register's difference. You can too. To find a store that carries Registers near you or to buy directly, head to registermeats.com. That's registermeats.com. Register Sausage. Yay, sausage!
Seminole Headlines returns now. Head to YouTube and search for Warchant TV today to catch the show live or on demand. Now, here's Jeff Cameron, Ira Schofel, and Corey Clark.
Boy, you staying in town or you taking it on down the road, Ira?
We're hosting. No road games for this Thanksgiving. We're hosting.
It's a little stress that comes with hosting, though.
Mostly for Kim. I mean,
sure, you got to watch football. You got football to watch.
I'm gonna straighten some things in my office.
Yeah,
but I'm
gonna put the coffee cup away.
Yeah.
Cam, you got everything else? Yeah.
You
Coffee
water?
cup's in the dishwasher. You don't have to worry about it.
No, it's gonna be good. We're gonna have her family. I think we've invited Ben Spicer over.
Nice.
He's in town. I don't think.
Nice.
Oh, that's nice.
Got anything going? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, anybody else? Anybody in the listening audience? Come on.
Swing on in.
Yeah.
Big house party.
What's that address?
What's your address again, Corey?
Yeah, right. No, I'll be up in Atlanta.
In Atlanta
with the mom and the sister and the brother-in-law and the son.
We're traveling.
And Brady has a job.
Nice.
A little glimpse into Clark. He at 5 o'clock on Thanksgiving he has to go work.
Whoa, wow!
Okay.
Where does he work?
Movie theater.
Very nice.
Yeah. I figure that's a cool job.
That's a cool job.
Did you have that?
I did it when I was in high school.
I had a buddy, two buddies that used to get me into the movies for free. It was awesome.
Well, Brady's not going to be breaking any rules. Jeff. I want his bosses to understand that.
What job did you not break laws and get fired for?
Oh, I didn't get fired at this place. They broke the law
the ice
for
cream
me.
shop you got fired.
But all high school
kids,
high school kids are always doing.
I mean, you know who you're hiring when you're hiring high school kids.
Yeah.
They're shaky.
There's some loss already
factored
in when you hire a high school.
Well, if, at the very least, they're doling out an extra scoop of ice cream.
Yeah.
I mean, that may happen for a girl.
I would house those movie theater hot dogs.
Of course you did.
Because they had cameras everywhere, so I'd have to go in the again.
The bathroom.
You'd have to go hide in the bathroom
because even if they caught me catching a hot dog or eating a hot dog in the bathroom, they couldn't admit it because then they'd have to admit their cameras in there. So there were $5 hot dogs back then.
I was going to say
that was my hourly wage. Was one of those hot dogs.
Just for nostalgia, do you go back and eat in bathrooms?
Yeah, do you go to restaurants and steal food?
Nostalgia. That's where most of my meals are.
So when people get up from a table after a nice meal with their family, and you see he didn't even touch that chicken finger,
I'll be right back.
You kind of follow him a little bit, like, oh, you're just dropping that in there, are you?
Yeah.
There's a bathroom in me.
Yeah.
I'm
taking my plate. Bring my plate into the bathroom.
Yeah, no. So movie theater seemed like a great job. I always liked that my buddies had it because every new movie that came out, I was like, I'll see you there. And the midnight movie on a Friday, that was heaven.
I feel like it would going way back in the day to Blockbuster. I never heard anybody getting a hookup at Blockbuster.
No, I never had one at Blockbuster.
It seems like that should have been easy.
Should have been. Record stores for sure.
Grocery stores, a buddy of mine would take 12 packs and put them at the back door.
7-Eleven for us. 7-Eleven for us. My buddy would do that as well. Like the cooler's out back.
Statute of limitations is all passed on all those guys.
I think so.
And he would say, "I'm off work in an hour. Go grab the beer that I just left out there." Yeah, that's how it worked.
Smart.
St. Pete Beach.
Smart.
That poor 7-Eleven lost more beer money.
It's actually unethical, Corey, and we shouldn't
promote this sort of thing. It's awful.
I mean,
it's awful what we did.
Yeah.
But we're honest and transparent on the show. We open the door into our lives.
Yeah, you can learn from our mistakes as well, kids. A lot of conversation in the chat talking about obviously we've established we think they need to get a portal quarterback, barring.
I'm not sure they do, but go ahead.
Are you serious?
No, I'm serious.
You like the idea of riding with Luke and
I
going
think
5
that
and 7?
when they decided to bring Mike back, which was a big decision, I think they made basically the decision: so long as he doesn't do this again, that he's going to be here for a minimum of 2 more years.
Yeah, but I think that doing this again isn't totally off the table.
Well, see, that's well, I mean, that's
if you had the kid at Vanderbilt right now, you'd have a few more wins.
You take that off the table.
Yeah,
that's all I'm saying.
Yeah,
but
it's not
anyway,
all. Yeah, you're right. You take it off the table. It doesn't mean that Luke can't do that.
Right.
It just means that it seems more of a guarantee to get somebody that's.
It's an awfully tough way to start the Luke era, if you will, with Alabama.
Yeah.
What is the payout, Ira? I know we'll get to the chat in a second. What is the payout?
I knew this was going to spark.
Originally, it was a couple million. I don't know if it's escalated because it's closer or not. But
because it's a home and home, so you're not really screwing them like Wake screwed Ole Miss. Wake didn't cancel that series until actually after Ole Miss went there and played. You're canceling it for the home and home. It's twofold. I brought it up before. Number one, you don't need to give the SEC any type of non-conference game like this. You just don't. It does you no good anymore.
You also don't need to be a scaredy cat.
Yeah, you do.
No.
You're going to be 2-10.
Anyone, anytime, anywhere.
That was 40 years ago, my man, and he wasn't coming off a 2-10.
We're aspiring to Ira's vision.
Yes,
you're mired in
reality,
pragmatism
of where they are, and I just you don't want to start next year.
Well, you're not getting rid of the game, so stop.
Yeah. Why? You're already paying. What's another $1.5 million when you're throwing all this money?
We're throwing money out down the drain left and right. You need
that's another $1 million.
That other $1 million's going to that quarterback that Ira wants. So there's no.
Oh, I see what you're saying. You get a quarterback and you keep the game. Yeah. That's where I'm just
know where Corey stands with fight or flight.
Oh,
100%.
We saw the squirrel. And now we've seen this.
We know how he is at Circle K. You won't even go to Circle K anymore.
God forbid you drive past a gas station. Yes.
No, but that particular gas station. I'm all about the other ones. But yeah, it doesn't do you any good. You don't need it. Not in this era of college football.
Perhaps
the money will help. I mean, it'll help the economy for the season opener.
Look forward to it, buddy. After this one, you get Georgia in a couple years.
That's what I'm saying. This is preposterous, and they need to cancel these series that you just do in the new era of college football. You don't need them anymore. You might even be in the conference in a few years.
Yeah, well, I mean, I definitely think you can make the argument. Like, the problem is like this. The landscape has changed so many times over the last 10 years. First it was like you got to play these high-profile games, because you'll be left out of the 4-team playoff if you don't. And then so you schedule them. Well, now it's expanded to 12, and so it could have been a little bit different. Florida State's schedule this year, not necessarily that they went crazy with their out-of-conference scheduling, but the schedule they had this Charleston Southern game being the last game before the Florida game is ridiculous. You should, if they had a game like this in week 1 or week 2,
that would have helped.
It might have mitigated some of their problems. I'm not saying it would change the season, but it might help some. But anyway, the conversation in the chat was moving to offensive line. And how do we even think, because you brought up the idea of if you keep Luke, then you got to get some good offensive linemen to help him out.
You got to do it either way, but yeah.
So how feasible do we think that's going to be? Getting decent offensive linemen. And what the one thing I would say first, though, is I do feel like you've got a couple coming back that you can play with. I feel like Richie Leonard was not bad.
No, he was a decent player.
And
got hurt.
And he's saying he's coming back. If he comes back, that's a guy that started for a couple of years of college football. I think he can play.
It does suck. I think you could argue he was your best offensive lineman before he got hurt.
Of course he got hurt.
They have. You don't go 2-9 without a little bit of that.
Yeah. I think Rizzi might be a guy who can play. We'll see. I mean, he hasn't been bad. It's not like
Riz.
He's been better than
some of the guys. Did y'all hear what I said?
I did.
Okay.
We kept it moving.
Sorry. And then we'll see with a new offensive line coach. You don't know.
Well, that's my point. Is I don't know who the offensive line coach is going to be. Maybe he brings some guys with him.
Maybe actually makes guys better and develops them too.
That's could always happen.
Something.
It's.
I'm not convinced that every offensive lineman on this roster right now sucks. I'm just not.
I'm not going to go one by one and say who does and who doesn't.
How would we know? The only 6 of them have played. Like some of them might use some real development, get bigger, better, and faster and stronger in this offseason, and actually be competent college linemen next year.
Yeah, we have seen many scenarios where a position coach changes a player's career, so that can happen. I'm not saying it's going to happen with 6 of them,
right?
But it might happen with 1 or 2. And you're bringing in new players.
With the offensive line stuff, I look at it the way that you guys look at, rightfully, I'm not criticizing you, the way you look at quarterback. Like, you're like, you got to get a quarterback. Well, it's true. You got to get a quarterback. You have to have a quarterback. And I'm not talking about portal or whatever. You just got to hit on a quarterback, whether that's Luke development or if it's a portal guy, whatever. But this upcoming year, to avoid to ensure you can't have a subpar season like this, a staggeringly bad season like this, you better go out and overpay for a couple of really, really known commodities on the offensive line. I'd go find a guy that we've seen do it, and overpay them. Like I'd save money on some of these other positions and skill positions and really sink it into the line of scrimmage. I'm just tired of watching the line of scrimmage look ridiculous because it renders everything else moot. And there are some kids that can play at wide receiver in this group right now. I do believe the young receivers have a chance to be pretty good. We know the 2 young tight ends, if they're still here, have a chance to be pretty good. If you could block it all and create some balance, all of a sudden everybody looks better. They can't block at all. And, I'd start by overpaying offensive linemen. If you could do it, I don't know. You got to convince them to come in. And it depends on who the coach is going to be and all that.
And also, that has not necessarily been a position where it's littered with great people in the portal. Usually the guys that are really good that you're talking about stay.
And they stay, and they've been recruited out of the high school ranks.
And they love their coach, and they want to play for that coach. And hitting on an offensive line coach that's good
is pretty important.
Really important.
Yeah.
It's because, again, I think so much of it is development. I just do. I'm not convinced that there aren't 3 guys on this roster right now that can be competent college offensive
we
line.
saw the ones that are failing now play at a competent level.
Right.
That happened a year ago. Darius Washington was more than competent a year ago. At one point in his career, Maurice, while never great, was a plus player. He's been terrible this year. Terrible.
Yeah. So I think taking that element out of the regression element out of it and bringing someone in as a coach that can develop and I don't know. I just think that would matter. Yes, you need to go get some dudes. I'm not saying you ride with what you have, but you're going to have a couple guys on this roster start for you next year.
Sure.
You can't go get a whole new offensive line.
Agreed.
Yeah. Unless you go to
I think Otto has a chance to be decent. Lucas Simmons, we're still waiting on. I don't know if that'll ever happen.
But how would we know?
Jalen Early's a possibility.
Yeah.
We'll see. I mean, again, it's so much of that position is fundamentals, technique. It is coaching.
Cohesion too.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, that's been the least of their problems. So they just physically one-on-one can't block anybody.
And they don't communicate all that well. They don't pass off blocks all that well.
There's just a lot to be angry about with that situation. But we've rehashed it. It's out there. Everybody's
and the beauty is there's a lot of problems. You know what I mean? Like you go around D-line. I'm not convinced they got anybody coming back that's going to be really good. You have to go there too.
That's why I said line of scrimmage. I'm talking about line of scrimmage.
Yeah,
Mike's got 99 problems.
Oh
yeah.
Seminole Headlines 93.3 Real Talk Radio Warchant TV continues in a moment.
Your local news now.
2 Florida Highway Patrol troopers have been hospitalized with serious but non-life-threatening injuries after a high-speed chase that occurred Sunday night. The troopers were tailing a suspect on I-10 when the pursuit moved on to Mayhem Drive. The chase came to a halt on Buck Lake Road when the troopers and the suspect all lost control on a curve and crashed separately. The suspect was arrested and hospitalized with critical injuries. FHB has not said what charges the suspect could face or why the person was trying to escape arrest. If you're going to be traveling for the Thanksgiving holiday, be careful if you're going to be driving through Georgia. The Governor's Office of Highway Safety and Georgia State Patrol want to make sure that road safety is top of mind when you are making your weekend plans. Officers will be issuing citations and tickets to anyone not following the law, including not wearing a seatbelt. This is part of their Click It, Don't Risk It seatbelt awareness campaign. This is Rachel and A with your Real Talk 93.3 local news update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Sunshine mixed with clouds at times this afternoon with a slight chance of rain showers. High temperatures reach up to 78. Winds out of the west 8 to 15 miles per hour. Slight chance of rain showers with fog in spots tonight. Lows dip down to about 60. Cloudy skies expected. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Currently, it's 76 degrees.
What do you need tires on? Your car or truck, tractor, or heavy equipment? At Nice Tire and Auto Service, we have tires for all of these needs. And we service your vehicle from air conditioning and computerized alignment to oil changes and everything else under the hood. Call Nice Tire and Auto today at 574-4100. That's 574-4100 for your scheduled maintenance. National accounts welcome at Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, just west of Capitol Circle.
Every journey starts with a first step, a daring step. But what they don't say about first steps is that you have to keep going, taking step after step, and eventually you take a big leap, accomplishing more than you ever thought possible. After 57 years, Tallahassee Community College is soaring even higher, and we're now officially Tallahassee State College. We invite you to take a step and visit Tallahassee State College. Learn more at tsc.fl.edu.
Life is stressful. Dinner shouldn't be. That motto is why Register Sausage has been doing business in the Florida Panhandle and Lower Alabama for over 75 years. A proud sponsor of Seminole Headlines, Register Sausage always provides the best Southern smoked sausage to over 140 grocery stores and restaurants throughout the Southeast. Headliners have discovered the Register's difference. You can too. To find a store that carries Registers near you or to buy directly, head to registermeats.com. That's registermeats.com. Register Sausage. Yay, sausage!
Seminole Headlines returns now. Head to YouTube and search for Warchant TV today to catch the show live or on demand. Now, here's Jeff Cameron, Ira Schofel, and Corey Clark.
Ira, would you lay the 20.5 today for Florida State basketball? You and I are in the same boat. We like this team, but 20.5 is steep.
I did see Western Carolina beat Bob Smith or something.
What?
Like there's some school.
They just like one dude.
They just beat this dude down.
It's like
he couldn't even inbound the ball.
Scheduled Bob Smith.
They played somebody that I'd never heard of. It's just like a dude's name is a school. That's one of their 2 wins.
Okay,
so
that's
I
good.
think I might, man. I'm bullish on these.
I'll hit the app right now, Ira. If you're going to lay the 20.5, let's go.
I thought you were going to ask me if I was going to take the 14 or 15.
No.
I
know where you stand right now. You
bullish on the
feel
Noles.
Good about Florida State. I do too. I feel better about this team.
Really?
No,
I think you are talking about different sports.
Oh, sorry.
Because he said 14, and then you stayed with basketball, but he was talking about football.
I misheard. I apologize. Yeah.
I thought
you thought I was going to take
you're
the
about to have a heart attack.
I felt the love.
Oh.
It was like the Scrooge had a change of heart.
No,
you realized that
This
you
is
feel
the
better about
this is
this
the
Florida
team.
State football team.
I don't feel better about this Florida State football team.
I was filled with love. My heart was growing bigger and bigger. It was like I was overflowing with warmth.
Brett said, yeah, but could they beat Bill and Mary? That's pretty funny in basketball.
I'm going to look up who Western Carolina played. But I like the Noles, man. I think this is this basketball team. We're not going to have to talk about Taylor Swift one time, Corey. Not one time.
Too bad. I got a lot of stories.
Yeah.
Corey, I haven't asked you. I asked Ira on the wildly popular Jeff Cameron show yesterday about the basketball team.
He's going to be a late adopter because he's always skeptical.
He's slow and coming around. You've seen him play a bunch.
Yeah.
I think they have some tools here.
I do too. They don't shoot it well enough for my liking.
We're not talking about winning anything.
Well, I want them to get to the tournament. But I want them to get to the tournament.
Hold on. That's all I'm asking.
Yeah.
I think they're good enough to make the tournament.
I do too.
By the way, the conference sucks this year.
Well, you could say that every year. We don't know what the conference is.
Yeah, we do.
We'll
bet on this later. Go ahead.
Let's the problem with a team like Florida State that will be on the bubble probably or maybe well above the bubble is that the narrative that the ACC is trash, and it's not the ACC of our childhood. It's not the ACC of maybe 15 years ago
or even
but
10 years ago.
There's still teams. It's still hard to win in the road in the ACC, and it will always be.
Western Carolina beat Bob Jones 100-61.
Bob Jones. What'd you say?
He said Bob Smith.
Bob Smith.
Close.
Yeah, Bob Jones put up 61 on 5. I mean, he must be the best.
A shooting Jesse.
I don't know how he gets the ball in. I don't know how he gets it in bounds. Maybe they just give it to him at half court and he checks up. But I think I like the way I like how hard they play. I think the Ewan kid is really unique. Watkins is one of the best players in the country, and the role players seem to accept their role and enjoy them.
Hey,
which
start
for now
is
great.
For fans that haven't seen a single Florida State game so far this year, which can happen early in the season, just know that when you do start watching them, right off the bat, what's going to stand out is that they play hard for each other. They play hard on defense.
They try to make life miserable for the opposing offense.
They care. I bring this up because it hasn't been that way for a couple of seasons. Yeah. And this is a team that right off the bat is likable because of how hard they play. And they have some length and they have some depth and there's some real talent there.
And there's some savvy too. You'll see some basketball plays where you're like,
okay.
I really didn't see sometimes.
The big kid, especially drawing double teams and then making the right pass. He's a really good passer. He's a good.
If
he's
they
got a
shot
nice
better,
touch.
it'd be nice because of that.
Because he misses a lot of easy shots, but he gets a lot of easy shots, which is nice to have. And I think he might be not necessarily a plus on defense. But overall, he is going to be a really nice addition to this team this season. Yeah, and I like the freshman point guard. He's got some savvy to him too.
Yeah. I there's some things I like, and I did not go into it with an open mind. I didn't. No. I thought they were going to.
Last year they were 17-16 last year.
I knew that.
No, I mean they should be. If they're 5 games better,
they're in the tournament.
They're 22-11, and they're in the tournament.
They're in the tournament. That's why I was saying that's really
there's
the
a
question.
chance
They could make.
And last year they were 4-6 after 10 games. The year before they were 1-9 after 10 games, which is insane.
Well, that's why
this year they're 6-1, and they hopefully will be 7-1 after tonight. It'll be a better start to the season.
When the non-conference lays out, you look at it right away, and you're like, all right, don't do anything stupid. Don't fool around and be sub 500 after these non-conference games. You bury yourself, you've got no chance, which is kind of what happened the last couple of years. But the fact that they've taken care of business, and they haven't just
knock on wood, they need to do it tonight. It's a big game tonight.
But they dominated UMass, obviously. That's an ass-kicking 30-plus point win. And they were pretty much in control of the Temple game as well the whole way. So there's a lot that I'm seeing that suggests they're above average. And if you're above average, you make the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, and I do think, somebody mentioned in the chat that, it also proves that Leonard still has some stuff there. And I've mentioned this to Chris Nee when we were at the post-game press conference a couple weeks ago. It was like, the last year and certainly the year before that, like there were times in the press conferences where Leonard just looked like he had no energy.
Forlorn.
And you're like, man, does he have it in him to make another run? But it's amazing how that changes when you actually have a good roster. Like these guys can play, and it's got to be fun to coach them. And you saw
they bought in, that's for sure.
Yeah, man. And then like the circumstances, like just the headiness late in the first half, the threes they hit down, and just in situations they play really smart. And they've closed halves with really nice drives and scores, and they're fun to watch. I'm glad. I was worried the Florida game, because they did not play well, especially early in that game, that the students would check out and not come back.
They're back.
But I think I think that the crowds are going to be good, which makes that place so much
Maybe
more
not
fun.
tonight, because it's Thanksgiving break and it's Western Carolina. The game wasn't even supposed to be here.
But as you get later.
Yeah.
And also, the further removed we get from the Florida game, A, Florida State's gotten better, and B, I think Florida's good. I think Florida's good. They're big.
Yeah,
they got a lot of length. They got some talent there. So it's not a terrible loss.
Good man for a head coach. Sorry. I guess that's all alleged, right? They clearly don't think they must know. They haven't fired him.
We'll see what happens with that. But all I'll say is that, there's no shame in that loss. They don't have a bad loss early in the season. They've got wins over people they should beat, and they've beat them handily. And they've got one loss that's not a bad loss. And hopefully they get another win tonight. And if indeed this is Leonard's last year, wouldn't it be a hell of a thing for him to make the tournament, which seems the right way to go? Obviously, we would all root for that. And I was worried that on the heels of what this football season has been, we couldn't endure another Taylor Swift conversation on this show. We couldn't do it.
Right.
We need something besides baseball, which I love. But, we got a little bit here to wait on baseball. Give me something, because I really miss going to the TLC Double C. That place, when they're good, it's fun
great.
As hell.
Yeah. We got look, going back to the not so fun sport we cover, this December is going to be I'm excited about it.
You get to cover what is going to be a grand experiment now to see if you can bounce back from this.
It's going to be newsy every day. It should be anyway. There's going to be, like you just said, and I don't disagree, they might get 30 guys in the portal. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what you cap it at. When you're this bad, you need a big reset. Clearly, they're not bringing in, the cavalry's not coming from the high school ranks. So you turn over this roster. Could it be 40? Like, legitimately, Ira, I have no idea. Yeah. But it's going to be guys. It's only a 3-week window, so it's going to be 2 or 3 guys a day committing to Florida State.
I think what's hard, what's really difficult, and if I just put on fan shoes here, I think it's really difficult. Every day I get up, I'm just like everybody else who goes to the place that I'm employed and looks to see, did any one of my cohorts break a story of who the next guy is? Right. Like, I keep waiting for, do we have a buzz? Is this guy going to be hired? Obviously we know all the speculation of certain guys, but you kind of want to get a sense of who should I be excited about? Let me dive into the research. Let me look and see what this guy is, what he might mean to what we're going to run on offense. We did it with Marion. Obviously, people have done that, but it's hard because this is a situation that's very unique. I've not been in a position in all of my time covering Florida State, which is now 27 years.
Jeez,
of not caring about the upcoming game because the season was already lost. And now all that really matters to people isn't Florida this Saturday and wasn't Charleston Southern last week or the week before. It's been like, well, what are you going to do to fix it? That's all you really think about every week. And which players are coming with these coaches? And when did we find out about these coaches? And what's Mike willing to say on the record about the process? And what are we going to – yeah.
When did they announce they've canceled the Alabama series? All those things
I don't worry about that as much, but that's what makes it difficult. And especially during a holiday week, I was like driving over. I'm like, what are we going to talk about? I mean, we're not really going to break down the Florida game. We're not going to break that down. We just want to talk about the players and the coaches that are coming in. That's all you really get excited about.
Can we talk about the Florida game for a minute, though?
Go ahead.
So here's my thing. And listen, I know I'm the optimist of the group. I'm going to accept that.
Well, I want to hear this.
It's a positive.
I am too. I'm intrigued.
Here's my two things. One is you look at this Florida team and their defense is not like people. There's a perception that they've got this great defense. They gave up almost 500 yards last week. They gave up 26 first downs to LSU. LSU went up and down the field. Mm-hmm. They gave up when they beat Mississippi State. They have one road win this year, and that was at Mississippi State back when they had Graham Mertz. Graham Mertz was 19 of 21 in that game. They won at Mississippi State and gave up almost 500 yards of offense in that game. So you're not talking about like this unbelievable offense or defense. And now this is for their offense. It's Lagway's first road game. I think that matters. First road start. And a lot of good quarterbacks have gone into stadiums like Doak Campbell and not played all that well. I don't know if Florida State can take advantage of it. That's fair to bring that up. But I don't see this Florida team as this juggernaut that's like this unbeatable force. I did feel like Florida State had no chance against Clemson. I think Clemson could be a really good football team. I thought they had no chance against Notre Dame. Notre Dame's a really good football team. But is Florida that much better than Duke? Is Florida that much better than SMU? Is Florida, because those are games Florida State wins if they don't turn the ball over in ridiculous situations or has a great chance to win. So I just don't get this perception that this is like a march to the death this Saturday. Now we'll see if they don't want to be there, then yeah, they'll get beat. They get beat by anybody. But I just think people are the perception is skewed by the North Carolina and Notre Dame games. But to me, that was after kind of everything had been exhausted. They got beat by Miami. They kind of cashed it in a little bit there. But now, you've had these changes, and it is Florida. So I think you're going to get a better effort out of Florida.
Well, you did a damn fine job of
I'm back, man. What? I'm taking the Noles on the money line. I'm taking the Noles on the money line.
I want to see it.
Well, look, and the spread is 14.5. It's not 40. Right, I mean, the people that do this for a living aren't expecting Florida to win by 50 points.
No. They're factoring in rivalry. They're factoring in that it's a 5-loss Florida
State. It's not a great Florida team.
And if Ole Miss and LSU didn't kind of piss the bed, I really feel like
is that a thing?
It is not, but I didn't want to say the other one.
You didn't say the other one, yeah.
Crap the bed, I guess I should have said.
Yeah.
I guess
people
too.
Piss the bed all the time. Are we allowed to say piss? I guess
it's more commonplace than the other. I would
think. I don't know that I've ever in my life.
I think
just woken up rolling in it.
Ole Miss certainly crapped the bed. Anyway, I'm just saying in both of those games, Florida did what they had to do, which was they played solid, but those teams kind of I felt like gave them the game. So
and I think the counter to that, if there is one, is like I don't think there would have been any way that Ole Miss, even if they crap the bed against Florida State, doesn't win by a couple of scores. Like Florida State wouldn't have played that well on defense.
Yeah.
So, but they're in the swamp, and they're not going to be in the swamp this Saturday. It could be a close game. I hope it's a close game in the third or fourth quarter. And then you put some real game pressure on that team and give yourself a little pick me up going into the offseason.
Yeah, and I'm not picking Florida State to win. I'm not saying they're going to win. I'm just saying I don't get this perception that the things you see and hear people say is like, oh, we're going to get curb stomps. It's going to be a boat race. It's like,
well, we feed into the narrative some too, man, because we are all convinced that Ole Miss would beat the brakes off Duke because they're an SEC team and Duke isn't. I mean, Duke's a pretty good team. Like Ole Miss probably is better than Duke, but a close loss to Duke isn't the same thing as a close loss to name a team in the SEC, Arkansas even, which probably isn't fair. The SEC is obviously better than the ACC. We get it. but the Ole Miss isn't that great. LSU clearly isn't very good this year. You know what I mean? So beating them isn't something a huge feather in the cap, but it's a bigger feather in the cap than Charleston Southern, or Cal. But yeah, I think that Florida State, if they play hard, because it is a rivalry game, if they have any pride at all,
they better. I mean, how could you not?
Because you're 2-9.
Well, I mean, it's still a rivalry game at home.
Yeah, you'd hope.
Florida.
You'd hope, right?
Yeah,
you'd hope, but I don't know if we'll see we'll see on Saturday how much pride they have. But yes, if they play hard and play with some pride, and if the offense can do anything at all, which is a big if, then yeah, it should and could be a game in the fourth quarter. Right,
that'd be fun. It'd be really fun.
It'd be cool to have that crowd into a game in that environment.
I get the sentiment and even the observational or analysis that, hey, wait a minute, what are you fearful of this Florida team for? And I think that most of the doom and gloom scenarios have little to do with Florida and what they are or are not, and everything to do with what people saw us do against North Carolina and Notre Dame. And that's humiliating, and they deserve to be ripped for that.
It's fair. It's fair. I'm with you on all of that. I'm just saying
Florida hits different though, right?
Yeah,
you would think they play harder. You
would assume it'll be a little bit different, especially that they do have a decent number of seniors who are playing their last college football game, last game at home. I mean, we'll see. And Florida, my last little thing. Oh
yeah.
I do, Florida's coming off of 2 huge emotional upset wins. Like there's a chance they don't have their best, in this game.
That'd be great. We'll that'd be nice. I mean, hell, get it to halftime and have it be a 1-score game. Let's see what happens. Right. I'd fight like hell for something like that. It'd be great to see this fan base could use a shot in the arm like that.
Hey, they got one today already. Fitzgerald is a finalist for the Lou Groza Award. And Mastromanno's a finalist for the Ray Guy Award.
So kind of knew like week 2 of the season.
Well, I was worried about Fitz.
Fitzgerald was the concern because he
didn't have any attempts. He didn't have enough attempts, but he made the final 3, which is awesome. And Mastromanno made the final 3 again, which is awesome. So wouldn't that be something? In a year, you go 2-10, or 3-9. That you have the Ray Guy winner and the Lou Groza Award winner.
Do we think they're going to win it?
I think Mastromanno's
got a better chance.
Yeah, he's got a real shot.
He'll have a chance to put on a show on Saturday.
I was going to say, my man had a lot of opportunities.
Yeah, and he's going to have I think he's going to have a few on Saturday too.
I mean, he sustained a level of excellence despite the ton. I mean, you could have really seen that thing come down. Like, let's say you have a special couple of games.
Yeah.
It's hard to sustain something like that when you get to punt as much as he did.
Man, he's been in a rhythm all year.
So he's like, I've got this, boys.
He's in a rhythm.
Don't you worry about me.
Another 53-yarder? Here it is.
Time and again. Hour number 2 forthcoming. Your headliner questions. We got you covered. And there are a lot of I actually checked beforehand. I was a little worried, guys, that they were going to be on repeat with the season being what it is. Some good ones.
Some thought-provoking ones. Okay, great, man.
Yeah, we'll get to those in hour number 2. It's coming up. Seminole Headlines, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV continues in a moment.
Time to head out on our annual guys fishing trip. Wait, where's Jimmy?
He just texted me saying he has to swing by his storage unit to get a couple of things. And now there's a truck blocking him in, and he won't be here for another hour.
That wouldn't have happened if he had just called Southeast Portable Buildings and got a unit right on his property.
I love mine. I have so much more space in my garage. Now I can finally park my truck in there.
Give them a call today, 850-580-6400. That's 850-580-6400. Or visit them online for all their options at southeastportablebuildings.com.
Time. It's the one thing we never get back. We can't create it. We can't buy it. We can't store it somewhere. Once it's gone for good, which makes it the most valuable thing we have. The only real question is how we spend our time. So, how much time are you spending every day running in circles with a computer network using old software on old equipment that's wasting your time, that gets in the way and leaves you feeling angry and frustrated? Let's fix that. Call Crown Networking. They've been helping people just like you and I make the best use of their time for the last 20 years. Now is the time for you to make the call. Here's the number in Tallahassee, 850-999-0090, 999-0090, or online at crownnetworking.com. Oh, and talk to them about getting you a new phone system, too. It's time.
This is Shannon Young with Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation. Investors, are you looking for a creative way to purchase your next rental property? Are you looking to get into the Airbnb space? If so, you need to know about DSCR loans. It stands for Debt Service Coverage Ratio. These are loans that do not require traditional income verification. As long as the proposed rent covers the mortgage payment on the subject property, That's the only income you need. If you're looking at investing and don't know if you can qualify, let's set up a plan to get your next income producing property and start putting you on a path to passive income. Give me a call at 954-369-6171. And don't forget, every fellow Nole that we close a loan for, I will personally make a donation of $250 to the Battle's End. It's Shannon Young at 954-369-6171.
Equal housing limit. NMLS number 373032. Many orthodontists in Tallahassee can straighten a smile, but at Birch Orthodontics, they're dedicated to providing the finest care possible. The experienced and friendly staff is trained in all of the latest techniques. So whether you need standard treatment like braces or Invisalign, or you have a more complicated case requiring extra attention, Birch Orthodontics is here for you. Set up your free consultation today by visiting birchorthodontics.com, BURCH orthodontics.com, or call 850-877-1692. At Birch Orthodontics, they create beautiful smiles that last a lifetime.
WVFP, Gretna, Tallahassee. This is Real Talk 93.3. You're listening to Seminole Headlines with Ira, Corey, and Jeff. Stay tuned for more headlines coming up. Your sports action update on Real Talk 93.3 with all the latest odds from Vegas. Brought to you by Palmar's Pawn, Gun and Gold. More than you might expect with two great locations in Tallahassee.
Mercer outscored Jacksonville 90-89 yesterday as a 4.5-point underdog. The Dolphins an 8-point favorite over Siena today in the third place game of the Fort Myers tip-off. College football Friday, Georgia and Georgia Tech meet between the hedges at Sanford Stadium in Athens. The Bulldogs, a 19.5-point favorite, 53.5 the total. UCF weighing 9.5 at home with Utah. Saturday, the Florida Gators bet up from a 14.5 to a 15-point favorite at Florida State, 45.5 the total at Doak Campbell Stadium. Sunday in the NFL, the Jacksonville Jaguars a 5-point underdog at home against the Houston Texans. Cash back for every bet with a GBank signature Visa card. Visa.com/GBank. Mike Sennett, Real Talk 93.3.
It's the week of Thanksgiving, so you're a little busy. Here's something you can check off your list. Holiday shopping at Macy's, because Black Friday is happening right now. You don't have to wait until Friday to get the season's best savings on the best gifts. You don't even have to wait until the end of this message. Head over to Macy's now and save big. If you go to Macy's.com, you can get your gifts shipped for free when you spend $25 or more. That's one less thing on your to-do list. Exclusions apply. See Macy's.com for details.
After you use Bounce Dryer Sheets and realize how fresh, soft, less wrinkled, and less staticky your laundry can be, you'll every time. Like those socks that smell like they've been through a marathon. Or that blanket that's got wrinkles on its wrinkles. Maybe even your chatty coworker who keeps distracting you. Okay, Bounce Dryer Sheets can't do it all. But for fresher, softer, better laundry,
Games for Less, Tallahassee's largest selection of new and used games, as well as new and used consoles like Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Atari 2600, PS4, and PS5. You name it. Locally owned and operated since 1994, trade-ins are not only welcome, but Games for Less pays more for your trade-ins than the big chain stores. That's not all. Games for Less now buys and sells new and used vinyl records to boot. George loves the Beatles, by the way. Reserve all the new releases today at Games for Less, conveniently located in the Walmart Supercenter Plaza on Appalachian Parkway. Hey, let me tell you about my friends at Tried and True Consulting, a Seminole-owned business that specializes in payments and business solutions. Tried and True's core expertise includes card, ACH, point of sale, mobile, e-commerce, and hosted payment solutions. Tried and True will help you reduce costs and increase your bottom line. That always sounds nice. Whether you're a retailer, restaurant, licensed professional, or service industry, Tried and True is saving you money. Tried and True's expertise extends to payroll, video menu ad boards, IT services, web design, and social media. It's time to make one call and tell the competition to take it on down the road. Call Don or Joe today at 844-464-6653. That's 844-464-6653. When you do business with Tried and True, they contribute 10% of the net revenue to the Battle's End. So go Tried and True today. Call 844-464-6653.
From the championship stage to coaching change and everything in between, Warchant.com remains your home for the best FSU football coverage in the business. Brutally honest columns and features, market-leading multimedia presence across video and podcast, the largest FSU fan community with a staff that combines for over 100 years of experience covering the Noles. When change comes, Warchant.com is your home for analysis from every angle. Warchant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source. Sign up today.
It's time for Seminole Headlines, featuring Warchant.com's Jeff Cameron, managing editor Ira Schofel, and senior writer Corey Clark. Your weekly dose of all things FSU, pistols and pies starts right now. Here's Jeff Cameron.
Hour number 2, Seminole Headlines, headliner questions coming your way. Really quick point out before we mention Dr. Birch and Birch Orthodontics, who I saw this morning. Hey, how you doing, Mr. Toafili? He checks in every now and again, and Lawrence's birthday is this Saturday. He just mentioned it in the chat,
that's
everybody.
Right.
He just mentioned it in the
he
chat.
mentioned it on his show, or during the interview today also. Toafili is, I guess, so he trying to think of how many guys have started as many games as he has, like at a skill position. How many games do you think he's started?
I don't know that he's played in all of them, but I don't know that he was starting every game in 2021. They had Corbin, and then you had Ward, and then you had
sometimes they started
Benson.
in the slot.
Yeah, he's probably played in 55 games, right?
He's played it a ton. I really was disappointed last weekend when they kind of went away from him. It didn't make any sense to me. I would have given him the ball a lot more.
Saving his legs.
They started it early in the game. You're like, oh, this is smart. It's going to be a Toafili game, and then it wasn't. And so that disappointed me a little bit because I would have liked to have seen him had a 20 carry day. Just because of, it's been a tough
this
year.
Saturday, my man. This is
it's
coming this Saturday.
Maybe it's this Saturday.
So, Dr. Birch, though.
Saw her this morning, and again, mentioned that one of the things she brought up was that two things she brought up. First, she wants to do the thing with Register Sausage. And number 2, she said that the next visit might be my last.
Man, congratulations.
Oh, buddy.
That's big.
Long, winding road. and listen, they've done a fantastic job. I can't ask for anything better than what they've been able to do to salvage my youngest son's teeth in the manner that they have. That jaw is forever changed and for the best, and I'm excited about it. It's just been arduous. It's been a long process. There's a lot going on there. There's a lot going on, and we're almost to the finish line.
And a lot of people, listen, not all my kids had my oldest had a problem case where we had a lot of time and effort invested, but a lot of times it's been quick and easy.
Oh, yeah,
and,
yeah.
Two of my kids
18 months.
Yeah, did tremendous work. So birchorthodontics.com is the website, BURCH orthodontics.com. Free consultations, payment plans. We cannot recommend them any higher.
Noel Kev in the chat contributed to our efforts. Thank you for that, Noel Kev. I hate Florida, love FSU. But guys, I want this game to mean something again. I mean, when was the last time that this game for both teams had something, where something to lose? Something was on the line where both teams had something to lose.
Maybe 2012.
Yeah, it feels like it's been a minute.
And they came in.
That
here
one wasn't good.
It wasn't great. But I don't even know what they had on the line because they didn't go play for a championship.
Same thing about the Miami game, though. He brings that up too. It's been a minute since we felt that uneasiness of a rivalry game where more than pride was at stake.
Yeah.
That's something of significance in the national scene or the conference scene in the case of FSU Miami was at play. It's been a moment where you actually truly felt it.
So it's also 20 years from the Ron Zook game, which is not a great memory.
No. Bobby Bowden Field, the debut of Bobby Bowden Field.
I was there.
But my point to that is, again, like I feel like Florida State's been on the other side of it several times where, like, again, 2012, that Florida State team, man, only had one loss on the year, and they lost that Florida team that was not very good. I brought up a couple times that 2021 game where Florida State's trying to get bowl eligible. Florida's a mess. Interim coaching staff
bait him into a pregame little skirmish.
The brawl. They knock him off.
So you're saying it'd be nice if FSU returned
the other
favor.
side.
Yeah,
it's not going to keep Florida out of a bowl game, but it would really be nice to throw a little cold water on their season.
It would absolutely temper their momentum and their excitement about the Billy Napier era.
And all these kids that keep flipping to them might
be like, maybe they think twice. Like, oh, okay, maybe they're not just because they beat LSU and Ole Miss that maybe they're not as the next great program.
Let's hope you're right. Let's hope it happens. Sam wants to know who ends up with more wins, this year's football team or Luke Clanton during his first year on the PGA Tour. Man, that's been something. I think about all the money that Luke Clanton's not collecting.
I wonder if he thinks about that.
I would hourly.
So
I appreciate him foregoing turning pro for the opportunity to try to cash in on the national championship that's been elusive for Florida State golf. They got that close last year with Luke, right there. And he says, look, I'm coming back to win it all, and I'm willing to do it. He must be independently wealthy. There's no way I would do that, no matter how loyal I am.
Most people that are as good at golf as he is,
most of the time,
probably
wrote a little bit of something.
Affluence.
Yeah, but I mean, my goodness, he's had top 5 finishes, top 10 finishes.
I think he's had 4 top 10 finishes in tournaments he can't get paid for. So that's probably well over $1 million.
Well over.
Hey, it's fine though, man. Being a college athlete's fun too, right? Good for him.
Hey, listen, it's awesome. It's admirable, and it's cool to watch him. Like, Florida State's got a lot of guys on the tour. It's cool to watch. But, man, every time he does what he did just last week, just charging up the leaderboard, and I watch all those things, I'm sitting there, I'm like, Clinton could win this thing this week. This is nuts.
Stevie asked, does he have a deal with Battle's End? He does, but I don't think it's anything.
It's 8 figures.
Yeah, no, it's not. All right, next question. One has to go forever. This is from John. Pumpkin pie, apple pie, pecan pie. Make the decision, boys.
I mean,
who likes pumpkin pie?
Oh, I love pumpkin pie. It's like my favorite thing in the world.
Of course you do.
I'm telling pecan pie to go down the road. Yeah,
I will
say
one
of those. Apple's the only one of those 3 I eat.
Pumpkin's awesome. I will say this about pecan pie. One time in college, friend Suzanne and Chrissy had a party.
Oh,
and
where this story's going.
Good party.
With some pie
and 2 women.
She made a chocolate pecan pie, which I never had. I grew up in Miami. Nobody eats pecan pie, and so they're hosting a party. It's like 3 a.m.
This keeps getting better.
And
hearing this.
What's going on now?
The 3 of us snuck away.
And ate pie.
And ate some pie.
There we go.
That's a perfect Ira story. That's a perfect Ira college story.
So the chocolate pecan pie is fantastic.
Right.
I can't speak. I think Chrissy's son may go to Florida State.
Oh, well, we should stop talking about this then.
But anyway, so the chocolate pecan pie, I think I'm on board with. Regular pecan pie can go to hell. But yeah, you like pumpkin?
I'm okay with it. I don't dislike pumpkin.
Do you dislike pumpkin pie?
Yeah, I mean, I've eaten it once in my life. Didn't like it. I don't really like pie.
Are you sure it was pumpkin pie?
Yeah. I don't like pie that much.
You don't like pie?
Not much. I'll dabble.
Love some pie,
dabble, especially this time of year. I get it.
I love it.
But no, I'm more of a.
Picked up some pie today.
Did you? Yeah. No, you talk slower.
Strawberry rhubarb as usual, guys.
Of course, man.
Strawberry
it's Thanksgiving. It's time of the year. Tis the season.
I love it. Anyhow, I think we're voting for pecan pie since Corey doesn't really
fine.
care.
I'm with you guys on that,
By the way, I want everybody to know I'm ambidextrous when it comes to pecan pie. I'll call it pecan or pecan. Just how I'm feeling. Just how I'm feeling in a given day.
I grew up calling it pecan because, my mom's from Griffin, Georgia. But I like pecan. Sounds a little more formal.
It does.
As a fellow, this is from Panama Noel. As a fellow nickname connoisseur, I'm wondering what Corey thinks about this one.
Okay, awesome.
If we get the go-go offense anytime we run a power run play, we call it wham.
Okay, yeah. I like that. It's not bad. And they used to have 34 wham, which was the famous play from the Dane Williams days. Yeah, that's great. I like that a lot.
And every time they run it, they play that song.
Wake me up.
Joke.
But well, that's not bad too.
Well, if they did that, if like he got 5 yards on the wham that we're calling it here, you hear Judabug.
Yeah. Instead of that's another Florida State first down, you hear Judabug. Yeah. So that's not bad.
That's all you hear. Then it's 2nd and 5. Like just that one sound bite. Everybody's like, "Oh, there it is."
There it is. And they're gonna start singing. That's gonna become the next great dope Campbell Stadium tradition along the lines of Seminole Win.
Yeah, there it is.
In between the 3rd and 4th quarters, people just start Jitterbug over and over.
Yeah. Tom writes, should FSU invest in a transfer quarterback or spend those resources on adding additional offensive linemen, wide receivers, defensive linemen? I'm starting to think the best return on investment is to ride with Luke and just invest in the supporting cast.
Well, we talked about that a lot.
Yeah, first hour.
We do think they need a quarterback. But is the revenue sharing in place for this class, this signing portal?
There are some teams that are hoping so.
Yeah, it has to be approved in April, but everybody's operating in the assumption, yes, it will be in place.
So they're up that it'll be whatever 20.5 for all of your athletes. So I don't know what
people are thinking it's going to be like
18.
17, 18, somewhere in there for football, maybe 16, 17 for football, maybe a couple for men's basketball, maybe $1 million or something for women's, and then the rest for everybody else, something like that.
And obviously, I want people to understand the scholarships still stay intact, and you're adding more scholarships too with this approval. But that's what, like, is this the last year to go just throw more money than as much money as you have at something like this? You think
it's a good question.
Yeah, there's a lot of the unknown.
There's still no guardrails set right now.
Well, yeah, the plan is that there will be if they get to that point. But the question then becomes, Florida State is presenting, Michael offered in some of the public comments he's made, and some Florida State people are presenting that they believe those guardrails will exist. I think there are some people who are very skeptical that those guardrails will be enforced. So we'll see. It will be taken away from the NCAA. It'll be like a third party. But then the question is, how much are they really catching? So we'll see. But to the point,
they need a lot of players.
If, to Corey's premise earlier in the first hour, if Luke looked great in this game,
how about just pretty good, man? Just pretty good.
I mean, great meaning like looks like he's a quarterback you could ride with.
If he's in command of the offense and plays,
what if he looks like Brock did against Clemson?
Competence.
No.
Brock against Clemson.
No.
I feel like if he's making some of those throws Brock did against Clemson, I think you're more inclined to maybe ride with him.
I think it's a case-by-case basis. Who do they have an opportunity to bring in a quarterback?
Right.
It helps inform the discussion.
Yeah, for sure.
And so I don't think it's just no matter what you're bringing in somebody.
Right.
It certainly gets a lot easier to have a more nuanced discussion if Luke looks good at any point. Like, let's say he plays well in this game, then all of a sudden you're like, okay, well, now listen, we don't have to spend all of our money on a quarterback. We could try to spend a little extra here or there to put some pieces around him. But again, we don't know who's going to be available. Stevens writes, Ewan is chewing up the paint. What's the ceiling on this man?
Chewing Ewan?
Yeah.
He's good, man. The ceiling.
And what's the ceiling on Ham's team is the other part of that.
Tournament team.
I think that's what I say. Yeah. We don't. Once you're in the tournament, we'll see. And you know,
it's all about matchups.
It's all about matchups. You get in the Sweet 16 before you know it.
I thought Ewan was. You could tell even in the Florida game. Okay, he's different even against them. Like, he moves different. He's getting good looks.
He just was forcing.
He was just horrible from the floor in that game and had some bad turnovers.
I feel like he was forcing stuff.
And it was his first time in a game like that ever in his life. He played at Berkmar High School and then JUCOs. So for him to be in that moment, in that environment, I felt like you could tell he was
trying too hard. I think.
As he gets more and more comfortable with being an ACC basketball player, I think you're going to see the real. I mean, he might lead them in assists. I mean, he probably won't, but I'd put him in the paint as like a point center, like in run offense, run action off him. He's also really quick.
He can handle the ball. He can bring the ball up the court.
But he's quick for that size. He's not a great defensive player, not a great rebounder.
He's the reason I kind of got excited about the team. He was the first guy that besides the known commodities, I was kind of like, oh, all right, brother.
That's something. That's something different. That's something different. Let's hope it keeps getting better.
Charles, I think we're all going to say we are. It's just that these things are kind of buried by the fact that I'm going to read the question in a second, are buried by the fact that there are so many other things to kind of concentrate on right now, and it's predictable.
Is that the longest answer to a question he hadn't asked yet?
Yes, and I'm doing you a favor, so we don't have the machinations here. Okay. He's asking, are you all concerned about all these kids flipping and going to other schools? If not, why? Well, of course, everybody is, but I mean, this is going to happen when you're 2-9. I mean, they're going to all leave.
Not just 2-9, but you fired one of your top recruiters.
Yeah, I mean, this is a disaster, and you're getting the kind of results based on that disaster.
Alex Atkins, we could complain about a lot of things that he did, but he was a good recruiter. And
he brought in all those O-linemen that he would never let play.
But even other positions, he was an effective recruiter with a lot of players. I mean, he's got a really good personality, and now you take him out of the equation. And yeah, man, it's being 2-9 and not knowing who the coordinators are going to be. And
do you think also the fact that there will be technically some sort of revenue stream and salary cap, quote unquote, it is now more imperative than it has been for Norvell to figure out the high school ranks? And do you think that's something that he's
got no choice
paramount in the next week or two to get some real structure to what he's doing recruiting, figuring out what hasn't worked? I'm not talking about this recruiting cycle. I'm talking about the previous two when they were good, and what's going wrong and how can he reach a higher level.
I think these hires will tell us that if he gets it or not, and I think that I was not a big critic of what they did in high school recruiting because I thought they needed to be focused on the portal, and they did that. But if you do want to get better in high school recruiting, and if he does, we'll see it by these hires.
Yeah,
because I think it'll look different. Who you're bringing in, and their track record is high school.
Because as Andy Staples said, Aslan and I had him on the Wake Up Warchant show. He was like, look, most people are going to pay the same amount for a 4-star wide receiver. Like they're all offering about the same amount of money. It's it will come back maybe
relationships,
the relationships
matter.
and the recruiting.
Maybe
we'll bounce back to mattering more than they did a year ago.
Yeah, and he's got to figure it out. I mean, this is going to
100%.
save his job or not. I mean, he's going to have to figure this out. It's annoying as hell. Seminole Headlines, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV continues in a moment.
Don't miss TSC Tuesdays every Tuesday morning at 7:30 a.m. during the Greg Tish Show. Find out what's happening at Tallahassee State College every Tuesday at 7:30 a.m. on Real Talk 93.3 FM.
October 3rd, 1863. Our nation is torn in the midst of civil war. Over 100,000 lives have been lost. Faced with the uncertainty of our survival as a nation, President Lincoln affirms his faith in God, issuing a proclamation and officially declaring the last Thursday of November as a day of thanksgiving and praise. This Thanksgiving, join with us in prayer for our great nation. From Sellers on Capitol Circle Northeast in Tallahassee, call 850-656-8453.
The best happy hour in the city is at Café de Martín and El Bar. All day, every day, you can find great deals at Café de Martín while enjoying the best outdoor seating Tallahassee has to offer. Sip away on 2-for-1 house wines, chilcanos, and margaritas all day long, Monday through Thursday. Plus 2-for-1 pisco sours and margaritas on Fridays and Saturdays, and 2-for-1 mimosas for Sunday brunch. Come join us at Café de Martín, where every hour is happy hour, in the Esposito Shopping Center on Capitol Circle Northeast.
Ain't nothing but a G-Pod, baby.
I am 99% sure that is not how the lyrics go.
Well, you like remixes, right?
Of course.
Well, think of this as a Grassroots Coffee remix per se, because Grassroots Coffee is now in the single-serve coffee pod game.
Dude, those single-serve coffee pods and cups are weak sauce.
Not Grassroots Coffee G-Pods. They have more coffee in them than regular single-serve pods and cups.
Seriously?
And not only do they have more coffee, they have a built-in filter for better brewing. They fit in most Keurig machines, and they are fully compostable.
It's still the small batch, slow roasted coffee you love, so go to grassrootscoffee.com and get your box of G-Pods today.
Baby!
See? Remix!
Well, actually, that's more of an homage.
Grassroots Coffee, locally owned, locally roasted, and made for everyone, loved everywhere.
Grassroots Coffee G-Pods. So very good.
I got a line.
He got a line.
She got a line. We got 4 lines. Cricket Nation, Q finger guns, really easy, super stress-free. 5G so fast, like blazing fast. Games and memes, you'll have a blast. You can get past 5G across 4 lines. You can get past 5G across 4 lines. As we discuss, take it from us. We for our one Cricket Nation.
And only $25 a line. Welcome to more lines. Welcome to Cricket Nation. Smile, you're on Cricket.
Cricket 5G requires a compatible device and is not available everywhere. Discount varies by line. Fees may apply. Terms and restrictions apply. See cricketwireless.com for details.
Oh, could this vintage store be any cuter? Right? And the best part? They accept Discover. Accept Discover? In a little place like this? I don't think so, Jennifer. Oh, yeah, huh? Discover's accepted where I like to shop. Come on, baby, get with the times. Right. So we shouldn't get the parachute pants? These are making a comeback. I think.
Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. Based on the February 2024 Nielsen report.
Life is stressful. Dinner shouldn't be. That motto is why Register Sausage has been doing business in the Florida Panhandle and Lower Alabama for over 75 years. A proud sponsor of Seminole Headlines, Register Sausage always provides the best Southern smoked sausage to over 140 grocery stores and restaurants throughout the Southeast. Headliners have discovered the Register's difference. You can too. To find a store that carries Registers near you or to buy directly, head to registermeats.com. That's registermeats.com. Register Sausage. Yay, sausage!
Seminole Headlines returns now. Head to YouTube and search for Warchant TV today to catch the show live or on demand. Now, here's Jeff Cameron, Ira Schofel, and Corey Clark.
This is Brian Kill.
Well, that's for some reason a commercial is running for no reason.
Get it together, Jeff.
I didn't press that.
I know.
I saved us.
Yeah, you
so how
did.
quickly I bounced that thing?
Record time.
Quick Hands Cameron over here was just like that.
That's a great nickname to have.
Quick Hands Cameron.
Quick Hands.
Yeah. Hello, boys, writes Butch. I'm curious to get your thoughts on one aspect of the game Saturday. Lagway injured his hammy less than a month ago. Hamstring injuries are tricky, and one wrong step can re-aggravate that type of injury. Not wishing ill will on the young man.
Clearly, that's how you've set it up.
But if that were to happen and Lagway had to be benched the rest of the game, how would that change the dynamic of the game? Well, quite a bit.
Yeah.
Quite a bit. The kid that's filling in for him is awful.
Yeah.
So I would, not that we're Texas, but you got a glimpse of what happens when Lagway's not out there. It ain't good.
They still have a good running game, good offensive line. They can move the
and
ball.
they still play hard. So you'd have to rise to that level of intensity. But
he's made some
assuming that
plays.
they have,
He has not been a volume passer for them, but like the plays he's made,
he makes big throws
at critical moments.
A third down, like getting hit or avoiding pressure and finding the guy open. Yeah, it's some pretty cool stuff.
He's a good player. Joseph writes, good morning, gentlemen. This season has been a toughie, so why not have a little fun with it? Let's say each of you were making a motion picture about this year. What would each of you title this film to encapsulate the entirety of this bitter experience? Happy Thanksgiving. I probably can't say what I would call it.
It would not be.
It'd be an NC-17. Yeah. They still had those ratings. I don't think they do anymore.
Snuff
do they?
film.
Yeah, it's
snuff film. Yikes. I don't know.
I don't know if are we taking like a movie name that already exists?
No, I think you can come up with your own, man. You can come up with your own.
Beleaguered.
Oh, I was going to say Cleveland Steamer. Just that image. And we're all the chess. We're all the chess.
Yeah.
That's the name of it. We're all the chess.
I got to give Kendall credit because of the way that Kendall began this question. And it's really, truly appreciated. Kendall says, which pies are you feeling this year, boy?
I mean, clearly not pecan or pecan.
Any new additions, or are you sticking with the tried and true pie favorites? I hope you all have a great Thanksgiving.
I feel like that's the play.
Ira, tell that three-way pie story from your college days.
Yeah, that was a crazy pie story.
You can text those two women and see if they remember.
I still do talk.
They're up for some late night pie.
We've discussed it many a time.
Ask them if they're up for some late night pie.
That's always
probably
fun.
Probably not going to do that. Probably not going to do that. But we're going to tried and true, I think. And although I need to go with I need to try the strawberry meringue or strawberry rhubarb.
Rhubarb.
That's what
it's freaking delicious. You're out of town. You said this. Oh, you're hosting. You're hosting.
Y'all live close together, by the way.
I could swing some strawberry rhubarb.
You say this every year and it never happens.
I don't think I've ever promised strawberry rhubarb.
You're not promising it. You said I can.
Yeah, well, I forgot that he still hasn't tried. Really? You still haven't tried it?
You've only been talking about it literally for a decade and a half.
I would have thought he'd
I
got
agree.
the courage to swing on by and get some strawberry
just
rhubarb.
Go to Publix and buy some.
It's there.
It hasn't piqued his interest
It's
enough.
not banned. You can get it anywhere, man. It's delicious.
It won't measure up to that night in college, though.
Hassan asks, fellas, how much does FSU's legal battle with the ACC play into the type of assistant coaches we can get? You'd figure if it looked like we were going to join the Power 2, we could get some bigger names. Legal front has been very quiet, though. That's actually a fair question.
Yeah, but the problem is you can't. There's nothing like that can be confided. It's not like they can tell them, "Hey, wink, wink, come work for us because we're going to the SEC." I mean,
you could say it though.
I mean,
you could just make it up.
Say
but
whatever
also,
you want.
Yeah, you can just make it up.
What does Coach Smith care if he's coaching in the SEC or not?
Yes.
If you're paying him what coaches in the SEC get,
because he wants to have success and he wants to be somewhere
you're at Florida
sustainable.
State, man. You just went 13-0. You how many teams in the SEC have had 2 undefeated seasons in the last 10 years?
Here's the thing, man. If you watch college football on a Saturday, and if you're not somebody of our age that has seen the evolution and knows all the history of college football, you would think that only one conference really exists.
Right.
And that everybody else is kind of playing AAA baseball.
Right.
So I just think that that becomes a problem in recruiting.
It does become
But you would hope the 40-year-old, 45-year-old coaches that we're talking about would have a more forethought.
But they're concerned about the 16, 17-year-old kids.
I see them recruiting. I got you. Yeah.
I mean,
okay.
It was,
and look, man, Auburn is 4-6 when they played that game the other night against A&M. That place was flipping electric.
It was amazing.
Yeah, I mean, as much as I rag on the SEC for some stuff, it's those crowds are real, and those fan bases are real.
FSU's record as of right now, fellas, with these 3 quarterbacks: Cam Ward, Jordan Travis, DJ Lagway. That's from Ward.
They played the whole season with each quarterback.
Yeah. So Cam Ward beats Boston College.
Sure.
We can't go game by game.
Well, let's say what games would they not win with Cam Ward? Notre Dame for sure. Probably Clemson for sure. I think Clemson probably punches it in a few more times if they're worried about your offense.
Miami's tough.
Miami are probably going to lose. Well, Miami doesn't have Cam Ward.
Cam Ward, and they don't.
Yeah,
but they've got everything else. I mean,
I think
they're overall better team.
I think you could make a realistic argument. 7-4.
7-4.
I think 7-4.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, you're not playing the whole.
Yeah, that sounds right. 7-4. Jordan Travis maybe 8-3.
Yeah, maybe because he knows the offense a little better.
Lagway,
I don't know,
4-8, 5-7,
5-6. Yeah, 4. Yeah. Because he was going to make some freshman mistakes, and you were going to lose some games with him. He's lost some games there.
Noel Hoops Authority writes, if you had the choice between football beating the Gators on Saturday or basketball not losing another game until January, which would you choose?
Football.
Yeah.
Appreciate the question. Appreciate the sentiment, but it would be fun to end their little party down in Gainesville for their 5-loss football team and make it a 6-loss football team.
Tom says, happy Thanksgiving, boys. Should Mike Norvell's wife not let Coach have any more pie this year until we start winning some games? I don't know what the rules are. I don't know what the rules. Yeah, that seems a bit much. I mean, I
don't think Mike Norvell's a big desserts guy anyway.
You really like to fall into some pie when you're downtrodden.
I mean, it
like you go like, man, I need a treat.
Yeah.
These are dark times. You can't have like.
But you don't want to stress eat the pie.
That's true. It's true.
So,
time for an important discussion, writes another Tom. Who wins in a head-to-head? 2018 FSU or 2024 FSU team? Both are really hard to watch.
2018.
2018 in a landslide.
That offense did score some points occasionally in football games.
It's hard to admit that.
Yeah, but it is true, which is crazy. Willie's first team would be Mike's 5th team.
Yeah, it's hard to admit it, but it's true. Yeah. It's all part of the disaster.
Yeah.
I mean, let's just say it. I mean, and by the way, this is also something that is not completely unfair, and it's the kind of thing that gets asked in the midst of a 2-9 season. It sucks to have to admit. Jason says, during Mike's 5-year tenure at FSU, which of these statements have you uttered aloud? This is the most disappointing season ever. Check. Worst offense you've ever covered?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Check.
Yeah.
Worst offensive line you've ever covered?
Nope.
It's close.
No, the offensive lines before.
I would say 18. 18 was the worst I've seen. Abdul Bello was the worst I've seen.
We talked about.
I shouldn't say that. Abdul Bello's group.
We talked about chalk outlines. Of quarterbacks.
Correct. Yeah.
For over a year.
Okay, so we say no on that one, but it's close. It's in the conversation. Worst wide receiver room we've covered here.
There's been a couple bad ones.
At least those had like Tamori and Terry. They had somebody that could go make some plays occasionally.
Worst linebacker room we've ever covered?
Nope. I mean, people need to remember what the linebackers were when Raymond Woody was here. I mean, DeKalen Brooks started the game. No offense to Kalen, we love you, love the family.
Yeah, family did some good things here.
You pulled the Jeff Cameron right there. That was good.
I mean,
no offense.
All due respect to the Brooks family.
That crew.
I hear what you're saying, but Yeah. Okay.
No, I'm not ready. I'm not going there.
Worst loss ever?
No.
So in his 5-year tenure, you could say the worst loss we've ever had. This is all within his tenure. Yeah. So yes.
Well, the Georgia game too, although that doesn't count.
He also wrote most embarrassing loss. So that's
I still say Jacksonville State.
This isn't a real fun exercise.
No,
is there a lot more?
Last two. Worst punt return unit ever in his 5-year tenure. I think so. Unfortunately.
Yeah. That first. Yeah.
Oh,
where they
would not catch it.
Yeah, just never pick it up.
I did the stats. They lost like 200 yards and just
I think it might have been more than that.
Yeah.
And then he adds worst recruiting, and I think that's a yes too. It's tough. These are the stark realities in a season like this.
Who asked that question?
Jason. Jason's documenting the whole thing.
But Jason, they were 13-0 last year.
Yes,
that did happen. You didn't dream.
And you might sweep the Groza and the Red
right. People keep sleeping on that.
Yeah.
They might win the Groza and the Red. Jason doesn't give a rat's behind about that. I don't understand.
He didn't bring that up at all.
This guy gave you a 13-0 season. He gave you maybe a Groza Award winner. He gave you a Groza finalist and a 2-time Ray Guy finalist. What are these people looking for in a football program, Jeff? I don't get it. It's a spoiled fan base, clearly.
Yeah.
They don't even appreciate.
Yeah, they're like the Georgia fans booing a bad first half.
Yeah, it's like you don't even appreciate it grows a
You
finalist.
bums.
Yeah,
Get it together.
Grief, gang.
Seminole Headlines, 93.3 Real Talk Radio. Warchant TV continues in a moment.
Your local news now.
A suspicious death investigation is underway near West Pensacola Street after a woman was found dead in the area. Police say that on Monday, just after 11:30 a.m., officers were called to the scene near the 2200 block of West Pensacola Street. Upon arrival, officers discovered the door open and a dead woman inside. Police did not say whether or not foul play was involved or where exactly the woman was found. The investigation is open and active. Anyone with information to call 850-891-4200 or to remain anonymous, call Crime Solvers at 850-574-TIPS. A house fire turned deadly in Tallahassee Sunday morning, less than a half an hour after crews had extinguished a second fire. Firefighters responded to a home on Yancey Street just before 8:30 a.m. A man was found deceased inside. Earlier in the morning, TFD also responded to a mobile home fire on Rachel Cooper Lane just before 8 a.m. No injuries were reported to that fire. Both fires are under investigation. This is Rachel Anay with your Real Talk 93.3 local news update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Sunshine mixed with clouds at times this afternoon with a slight chance of rain showers. High temperatures reach up to 78. Winds out the west 8 to 15 miles per hour. Slight chance of rain showers with fog in spots tonight. Lows dip down to about 60. Cloudy skies expected. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Currently, it's 75 degrees.
There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus, happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Noles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas Wall, featuring 560 inches of flat screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
This is Hugh Tomlinson, president of the Tallahassee Quarterback Club. I invite you to join our historic club supporting local football since 1949. Don't miss our exciting events featuring legendary and popular football personalities. Get updates from FSU coaches, win great door prizes, and stay on top of all local football. It's time for our annual awards jamboree. Don't miss keynote speaker Doug Flutie on December 10th. Get your tickets or join our club at TallahasseeQBClub.com. That's TallahasseeQBClub.com. Get in the game. Get in the club.
Life is stressful. Dinner shouldn't be. That motto is why Register Sausage has been doing business in the Florida Panhandle and Lower Alabama for over 75 years. A proud sponsor of Seminole Headlines, Register Sausage always provides the best Southern smoked sausage to over 140 grocery stores and restaurants throughout the Southeast. Headliners have discovered the Register's difference. You can too. To find a store that carries Registers near you or to buy directly, head to registermeats.com. That's registermeats.com. Register Sausage. Yay, sausage!
Seminole Headlines returns now. Head to YouTube and search for Warchant TV today to catch the show live or on demand. Now, here's Jeff Cameron, Ira Schofel, and Corey Clark.
Gentlemen, writes Chaco McNasty, what are you most grateful for this year? Happy Thanksgiving to you and your families. Go Noles. Thank you, Chaco.
Thanks, Chaco.
That's nice. Oh, I got married. I'm thankful for that.
Yeah, you should be. I would hope so. Yeah. It would have sucked if you were like, well.
I think that's my most thankful. I think.
Yeah.
I mean, that insurance is incredible.
We got a lot of things to be thankful for. The three of us do. That's for sure. And it would be hard to pick just one.
One thing that came up in a conversation I was having yesterday, actually, with Coach Henshaw.
I like it.
Was just talking about, because my oldest two daughters, one's at FSU and one's in grad school at the USF.
Mm-hmm.
They're all going to be home.
Oh, that's awesome.
What the best part about it is, like, watching them get along. My three kids get along so well. Like, they love being around each other.
That is huge.
It's awesome because you know, I've got friends who don't have that with their siblings, or you know, it's cool. It's so much fun for us to just watch them interact. And they're
good one, buddy.
and they're older. Your kids are still fighting because they're
17 and 14.
Right.
So
they're boys. I'm sure it's comforting knowing that no matter what happens to you and Kim,
yes.
I mean, you're going to die at some point. They're going to have friends for life, not just siblings for life, but friends for life.
What you got, buddy?
Well, I'm going to say it's certainly family oriented, but I was nervous, admittedly, from Bryce's surgery, so I'm glad it went well and he's okay. And for those that have asked about it again, appreciate that very, very much. I mean that sincerely, and he's doing well. He's doing really well.
And there was a little hiccup, but it's going better.
Everything's gone. We're good. We're good right now. There was a hiccup, made me nervous there for a second, but he's doing well. He's to the point. This is how good it's gone. I have to tell him to stop being as active as he's been this past week. So that's a good sign.
Good.
He's up and trying to do things he shouldn't be. I'm like, hey man, settle in.
Could he move to quarterback?
I don't think so. I asked him about it because he throws a pretty ball, but he doesn't want to do it. He loves being a receiver.
We got to work on it. We'll work on it with
him.
He had a good year before he got hurt. I mean, he got hurt penultimate game of the year, but that
means second to last.
It's a tough
second to last.
It's a toughie. So most of us say family-oriented things like that. Thanks, Chaco. Justin writes, hey, fellas, does having practices open to the media as well as the obligation to speak to the media once a week during the year deter any potential coaching candidates? No,
I don't think it would. In fact, in general, most coaches don't like it. The fact that when a head coach does not let them talk, because a lot of assistant coaches want to market themselves. Now, the one thing I would say is I don't know that every coach on the staff loves Norvell letting access to practice as much as he does, but I don't think it would affect anybody taking the job. I wouldn't think.
I would hope not. Cowards.
Yeah, right.
Do your job. Do it. Be proud of it.
Yeah.
Put it on display for all to document.
Might be that Alabama game looming, though. They might not want to take the job because of that. Oh, good. My first game in a new school.
I don't want a coward like that.
Well, you're right. Let's
saying it's the same coward. I get to show my wares in game one. It gets a name like Alabama.
We'll say it ain't Nick Saban's Alabama anymore. Clearly,
no.
But still, I'm going to assume they're better than you guys. They're going to have better players than Florida State to start next season.
Can we expect the three of you to bring back keg stands in celebration of this god-awful season being over?
No, I don't want to pervert the Florida State the Florida State football to that end. Like, I wouldn't dump myself with champagne if they somehow beat. Maybe I would. That would be worthy of because that was me being ironic anyway. So maybe I will. I'll dump something on myself if they beat Florida, but that's probably not going to happen.
You don't need to do.
But we're not going to do. Well, we can't do cakes. We did that for a 6-game winning streak that led into a 19-game winning streak.
Yeah.
I don't want to do it just because
I had a good time doing the keg stands. We had fun. That was a fun day.
It's a great end of the year.
Yeah, it was a Sunday morning of all things.
Saturday
morning driving into Corner Pocket. We were both tired. I talked to you on the way in.
What if Norvell lands a big time portal quarterback? Can we do it for that? Can we do? Probably not.
Who's out there? Who's the portal quarterback that would make you want to do a keg stand?
I don't know.
Shador?
It's a tough.
The kid from Kansas State.
Yeah, I don't think Yeah, I'm not doing a keg stand for him.
Kid from Syracuse? Via Ohio State?
No, not keg stand.
Okay. All right.
Does Dylan Gabriel have any more?
I think he's got a ninth year. I think he's got a ninth year. Maybe Hank Bachmeyer.
No. No.
You could end it where it all started.
Yeah, that's right.
This is pretty funny. I got to give Roger credit here. He writes, gents, close your eyes and suspend your disbelief. Saturday, the team and coaches are the exact same as they've been, save for Jameis Winston at the helm.
Oh, gosh.
What would happen in this game?
At the helm is like the coach or the
he's
quarterback?
The quarterback, obviously. Now, here's what I would say. This is an interesting question if you try to take it seriously. You throw Jameis Winston in at quarterback right here, right now, with the same group of
Noles by 30. Noles by 30.
He would get the ball out of his hands on time. He'd have a complete grasp of the offense. He could read a defense instantaneously.
He'd figure out who can catch.
I was going to say, who would catch the J-Bo?
He might have a couple turnovers, though.
Oh, sure. He's forcing it, but that's okay.
That's fine. He's doing something.
It's 2 turnovers with 385 passing yards and 3 TDs, buddy.
Maybe.
Just the pregame speech.
Yeah, if he's mic'd
Put a smile on your face.
Yeah, telling everybody how much he loves them.
Hey, for real, it was magical watching him in the snow game a week.
Oh my God,
it was so awesome.
Did you see the NFL film?
Oh yeah,
it's 13 minutes of him just.
It's incredible.
I was telling Aslan he must say "I love you" 100 times to 100 different people.
His speech before the game to the sideline reporter,
and he's not even looking at her. He's staring off.
He's talking about a horse.
It's magical.
Yeah.
Magical.
Oh man. That was hilarious, and it was also cool to see him win. He now has double the wins that Deshaun Watson had this year at quarterback, and he's only played in 4 games. So there you go. Somebody taking a shot at Norvell that I won't read. There are a lot of those. Hey, guys, who on the defensive line that are eligible for the draft stay on next year? Happy Thanksgiving and go Noles. That's from Lee. Thanks, Lee. Is there a chance that Farmer's gone? Is there a chance that Jackson comes back?
I wouldn't think.
But
why would he?
Yeah.
Why would he?
Up his stock a little.
I mean, sure. I wouldn't. Peyton, I think, could come back, or he could.
That would be a tough.
I'm saying I meant he could come back to college football.
Yeah.
Yeah, he could still be a college football player next year, maybe. Yeah.
It was just funny if everybody could have frozen the cameras in that moment when his name came up. We're all like, everybody's like, no, it's just take it on down the line here. Let's go. This is funny, by the way. Do you think FSU's about to peak?
What, like this season?
Saturday coming up, Andrew.
They've been biding their time.
We're right, just about to peak.
After that Charleston Southern win?
Yeah.
Well, they actually have kids with a little confidence.
Time.
They have some kids that have enjoyed some success finally. Maybe they'll this is as good as it can get for 2024 is what we're about to see on Saturday.
Gentlemen, I'm of the belief that with an elite offensive line, you can attract elite players for your offense as a whole. Should we focus on an elite offensive line coach for that position? Oh, well, sure.
Yes.
So
throw out some names because they'll take them.
Yeah. I mean, I think that would be really, really cool.
But getting an elite offensive line coach doesn't mean the number 2 wide receiver in the country is going to come to your school. You have to prove that you have a very good offensive line. And then that is not just a name on a paper. It's show me on some Saturdays next fall that this offensive line is much, much better and somebody I can run behind or somebody that can protect the quarterback.
Yeah, I think in the short term, the easiest way to attract other players is to get a good quarterback.
Correct.
That people want to play with. I think that will attract players more.
And at the rate that they're flipping now, you better be able to name a name soon. Let's get a quarterback in here and hear about it, as well as these coordinators, because it's tough on a daily basis. I feel bad for the fan base.
What about Haynes King?
No.
You bring Winky. You get Winky as your QB coach, and he brings Haynes King with him. Haynes is a good college football player.
He
is, and he's he won the game the other. Well, no, the other kid came in.
He doesn't seem very durable. I think he's had
but
injuries.
They run him a ton. But
he had injuries at Texas A&M too.
But he's playing even with a banged up shoulder where he can't throw, but he's still running the ball. But he's running the ball. Like he's a tough kid and he's a good athlete.
I just think the thing with him is it's kind of like Jordan early on. Our concern with Jordan,
he's always getting hurt. Yeah.
He's going to have to run and then he's going to get hurt. And I just feel like if that Haynes King, he's got to run.
Yeah.
That's the element of his game that's good is him running the football. It's not like he's an elite passer.
But he's not built like Cam Newton or Tim Tebow.
So if your choices next year were Haynes King or Luke Kromenhoff.
I'm picking Luke. Yeah. Seriously. Yeah. You're not going to be appreciably better with Haynes King.
You would have
it would depend on what your offense is. If you're running the jitterbug offense. Haynes King would be really darn good in that offense.
I wish they would do it behind the music. I wish they could have done behind the music where like they sat down and discuss like how that came. What if we put in jitterbug?
Yes,
but like jitterbug and like a deep baritone. Is that what that is? Baritone bass, like a jitterbug. It doesn't have anything to do with Andrew Ridgely or George Michael. And
do you think they argued over what words they should go? What do you want to do here?
And I know the other guy in Wham. I'm not too proud to admit it.
By the way,
I think all three of us knew the other guy in Wham.
So in the Michael Jackson Black or White song, the rap part, have you heard that story?
No.
The producer, I
didn't know there was a rap in that.
Yeah, man. There's a little rap.
DMX.
No. But so the producer did the rap and sent it to Michael Jackson. Said, I think it really needs this in the middle. But his thought was that Michael Jackson would then go get one of his buddies
else to
who
do
would
it.
Actually do the rap.
Right.
And it's just this like 50-year-old white guy.
It's just that
does the rap.
It's awful. That's why it's important.
Are you calling Michael Jackson a 50-year-old white guy?
No.
Oh.
We have a
Two Live Hollywood. What's up, baby? Appreciate you always. The OC and the DC choices are important. This is true. But this is a man's game. It is not built for the weak. All alpha, no beta. It starts up front on both sides of the ball. Get me somebody to bring me that. The rest will line up.
He's with you.
He is with me. It's the line of scrimmage.
The line of scrimmage.
Go get some grown-ass men on the line of scrimmage that are going to change where the game is played.
We've mentioned it briefly, but not enough because the offensive line has been the biggest disaster. But the best players on this team are probably their 2 defensive tackles. And they're probably, as we just alluded to, aren't going to be here next year. And there's not a lot coming up from behind them that you're absolutely certain are going to be good college
we've established that the rosters.
I can give 4 defensive linemen.
But all right, so so where 2 Lives coming from is where Jeff's coming from. I'm going to posit this to you now.
Okay, great.
If they overpaid on offensive linemen, and they went all in on offensive linemen and defensive linemen, got the trenches in order.
Let's go. You're saying the trenches are in order.
Trenches are in order. Could you ride with Luke?
Yes.
If you had to spend all that, all the resources,
it's the ACC. Yes, you could.
I mean, no, I'd still go and try to get a better quarterback. But my thought being, I don't want to spend all this money and then just save some. And then it doesn't. All this money that we spent on the trenches aren't any good because our quarterback isn't good enough.
You know as well as I do that if you can run the ball consistently and you can stop the run, like you're very good on. He's talking about the trenches, plural, as in both sides of the ball.
Yeah. So this exercise is we know for sure it works.
Right. Well,
the people they
bring in are not. Yeah, they're not.
They're legit dudes.
They're not like a back up at Alabama.
Well, Corey, think about the second half of the season just 2 years ago. That offense wasn't good.
Yeah.
The defensive line dominated games, totally shut teams down.
You're talking about last year. 23.
Yes, 23. Yeah. So after all the injuries they had and everything else, they couldn't move the ball consistently well. It wasn't a good offense, and they dominated teams on defense. If the trenches are in place and you've got a modicum of success on offense in the passing game, which you would have because you could run the ball, yeah, man, you could ride with Luke.
Yeah, you could. I think your ceiling may be a little lower.
Oh, you're not winning the national title.
But I'm saying if you're going to spend $5 million on your line of scrimmage, go ahead and spend $1.5 million on a badass quarterback too. Let's go do the.
It doesn't have to be either.
Let's go be the Yankees.
Right.
I mean, I'd love to spend $47 million on flipping all the roster completely. Let's go. But I look. If you could ensure me that the offensive line was going to be an upper crust, as in one of the 3 best in this league, for sure, and the defensive line
which isn't asking the world.
No,
it really isn't. That's well said. It really is. Yeah, no. Just be BC's offensive line.
And if your defensive line was one of the best 2 or 3 in this league, man, I know we wouldn't look. Alabama looms large and all that other stuff, but you could beat 8 teams with just good trench play.
Would you go pay and get the BC offensive line coach? I know Bill O'Brien works with them, and all their linemen. And as a one collective and bring them all to Tallahassee, like bring all 14 of their scholarship offensive linemen and their offensive line coach and say, we believe in this guy and what he's producing.
I'd go get Iowa's or Notre Dame's.
Well, no, they're not leaving for Florida State. You're not, I mean, what's that going to cost you?
Oh, I think you just said $47 million.
Well, yes, of course. I think you got the entire Boston College offensive line, coaching staff and players and just brought them to Tallahassee. And then sprinkled like Florida skill players with it. That's your best recipe. And it would be unprecedented.
Would you still cancel the Alabama game, Corey?
Well, Alabama don't want any of that. They'll cancel it. They'll cancel it when you bring in the BC offensive line train. Like that's, I wonder, that's got to happen at some point in our lifetime.
Somebody takes a whole
just buy a whole position group like from a team.
You bitches are good every year. Because we want every one of you.
Yeah.
Like Iowa, honestly, every year has a dominant offensive line. Like what if somebody at a better school was like, listen, I know this is strange, but you guys, you're never going to win anything there at Iowa. Your nice story every year, 8-9 wins. That's pretty. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to pay you $25 million. We want your O-line coach and every one of the kids you just brought in.
And every quality control analyst, everybody that's a part of that position.
That offensive line, we want to bring him in here, right here.
And then a couple of the better ones are like, Larry, you sure you want Larry?
Yeah. We appreciate that input. Yes, Larry's coming, but we appreciate that input.
We want every one of you.
Yeah, every single one of you.
I'm tired of watching the annual ass kicking that you put on display that we are trying to further here in Tallahassee and cannot do. Come on, all of you, come with us.
It'd be worth the money, man. That's not a price that's too steep.
I do agree that if you could tell me that the trenches were taken care of, I'm riding with Luke.
But that's a big if, right? Because that's a huge if, and that's
we're dealing in fantasy land over here, anyhow.
But I think that's when people say, let's buy a big offense, a great offensive line or a good offensive line, and keep the quarterback. That is a presumption that you were going to get that right.
Conversely, though, I think you could make the argument that if you had an average offensive line and an elite quarterback, it solves a lot of those problems.
It does. I think you're having a similar type season. We saw
that last year.
You saw last year with your guy quarterback last year here. Like he can mask a lot of things, and it's easier to go find. It's not easier to go find a Jordan Travis, but it's easier to go find a good quarterback than it is 5 dudes on the offensive line that can work together and get coached well. But yes, I think if you had your druthers, I'm tired of it, Ira.
The nice thing though about rating. The nice thing about rating a whole team's offensive line group is they already have continuity.
They got continuity.
Right. You're not having
and you're bringing your coaches with them.
Yeah.
They're singing Kumbaya day one at camp. They're like,
they're going to run. Imagine like those 16 corn-fed Iowa linemen just rolling into the Florida State locker room.
Oh, my God.
We're here.
I'd be in tears.
I'd
be choked up.
The tight ends are like, what about us? Can we come?
Yeah. Yes,
sure,
please. They've had some solid tight ends at Iowa as well. Come on down, big dog.
You take some kids from Iowa and drop them off at Potts on a Friday night.
Ooh.
I mean,
they're not going home.
Thinking along these lines.
They're not going back to Dubuque.
Hey, get them here in the spring. That is, I mean.
It's not creepy old man time. It's not the creepy old man segment.
It's just a quality recruiting effort.
You're right.
That's all it is.
You're right.
That's
For
all
a
I'm
baseball
saying.
series in May.
Yep.
I don't know why they wouldn't do this. I think that's worth $10 million to get the whole Iowa offensive line system here with all the players.
Well, we solved the problem, boys. It took a long time,
but we got there.
We're coming for you, Iowa. Come on down. Let's go.
Hopefully Ingram's listening. Make it happen. Battle's in.
Yeah. Battle's in. I'll help engineer it. If you need me to fly out there, I'll pitch it.
Yeah.
I'm in. I'm all in. We only have 2 minutes, guys. Anything we want to talk about? The rest are just.
I did want to say this. When we were at the place that we got married, I got married in March with Tavello.
Yeah.
And he might have said something that was wildly inappropriate to that fan that came up and introduced themselves.
Possibly.
But it was really nice. He came up and said, "Look, I'm a Florida fan." And he goes, and I'm just up me patting our own back for a second. He goes, "I'm a Florida fan, but I listen to you guys, and I tell all my friends how lucky Florida State fans are to have a show like y'all show.
That's sweet.
Because we don't have anything like that. Florida doesn't have anything like that.
Very few people
but
have ever
most
had
programs
like this.
don't.
Yes, correct.
I guess I want people, they feel down, the people watching this, like, I'm a fan of a 2-9 football team. But you got this podcast, baby, and we don't go anywhere.
No.
We're here through thick and thin.
Soldiering through.
Yeah.
A 2-9 season.
Imagine how good it's going to be next year when they got the Iowa offensive line.
It is the weirdest thing in the world to think about next year and to think about it could be a disaster again and he's fired. It could be a dramatic turnaround that we're documenting.
It could be middling 6 and 6, which I wouldn't even mind that.
Now,
I wouldn't even mind that, man. I wouldn't mind
50% chance to see a win.
I wouldn't mind a North Carolina type season next year. By the way, shout out to Mac Brown.
Yeah, we knew time was up with Mac. We knew that was coming.
That was a journey.
Yeah.
Like a month ago, he's asking if the players if they wanted to quit.
Here? Yeah.
They're like, no, we don't. We want you to stay. Then he decides to stay. Then they ask him if he'll leave, if he'll retire, and apparently he said no. So then they fired him.
So you're fired.
Yeah.
That's the second time he's been forced out.
You got to read the room, Mac.
Yeah.
When they ask you to retire,
most coaches aren't about that life, though. They're like, well, fire me then.
Yeah, fire me. I want that money.
It also tells you what Mac must think about North Carolina football. Like that I think Mac believes that they should be grateful that he's still there, that he's there.
Ooh, that's not a good look, though.
But I mean, that tells you what he thinks about North Carolina football.
This version of Mac is, the fact that he thinks that they should be thankful.
Ira thinks they're going to make a run at Jimbo now.
Yeah.
North Carolina.
I do not think that.
He doesn't, but it would be funny that
is West Virginia firing their coach or keeping him?
They are. I've heard that they may make another run at Rich Rod, though.
What?
Rich Rod again?
No, I actually got to tell you, I'd hire Jimbo over Rich Rod.
Band back together.
I think Jimbo in West Virginia makes all the sense.
It makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah,
and
or
I
Marshall.
think he would care.
I actually think Marshall might be better for him because he gets to get the underdog mentality, kind of scrappy.
Happy Thanksgiving, boys! Both of you and your families and all that, and everybody else. We love you guys.
Happy Thanksgiving!
Happy Thanksgiving to all of you. Thanks so much for supporting everything we do. We appreciate that very, very much. Genuinely, we do. And we'll talk to you next week.
Peace out.
Peace.
Go eat some